Emperor of the Desert. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 251. Ifo is just a fool. It seems that because there is no blood, no corpses, or because of the time-space rupture skill, Qin Ren didn't feel much about the fact that he killed hundreds and thousands of people in an instant. Although Qin Ren killed them just now, they are still alive now. So, did he kill anyone? While he was thinking about this question, a foe in front of him repeated the words that Qin Ren had heard 3 times and attacked Qin Ren. Then, petrified gaze, sand-bound coffin, the eye suddenly shrank into a vertical shape, emitting a faint green light. A foe, who seemed to be aware of something, was petrified into a statue while trying to leave. The surging quicksand swept over and squeezed the foe's body with force. Countless gravel scattered on the ground. I killed him for the 3rd time. Should I try a few more times? Qin Ren took a look and saw that he only had 56% of his mana. The main consumption was still due to the time-space rupture skill, 5% each time, and 5% each time. Just now, he used 3 time-space fractures and 1 full-power arcane pulse, and his mana dropped from 81% to 56%. The skill of out-of-control fracture. How to say it? Now he wants to kill everyone in the world and search for the voucher. Why do I feel like a world-destroying devil? G-level bags don't have vouchers, but F-level bags have G-level vouchers. It's useless to kill those ordinary people. The main purpose is to kill people who can drop at least F-level bags. However, there seems to be a problem. Among the people present, there is no one else except the repairman and another minion whose name is unknown. However, Qin Ren clearly felt that someone was beside him. Qin Ren turned his eyes to the side, but still saw no one. Frowning, Qin Ren controlled the quicksand to condense into a sun disk, and then he saw a woman standing not far away, standing behind the repairman, holding a DV in her hand, filming something. Especially a foe who fell to the ground. She seemed to know who this person was, and looked surprised. Hidden Wolf Army. They can make their presence disappear. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Ren's perception was too high, he wouldn't have noticed anything unusual. He saw me. His sight also startled the member of the Hidden Wolf Force. However, at this moment, the other party looked away again. This made her feel relieved. However, it would be better to inform the professional heroes as soon as possible about the news that a foe appeared and was killed. However, at this moment, she heard the other party say, "A foe? What a waste. He has the same personality as me, but he uses it like a fool." The same personality? The Hidden Wolf girl was a little surprised, and the next moment, she saw that the repairman's body was inexplicably ignited with flames. The repairman just screamed and burned into a fireman. The magnetic assistant next to him was still in a daze because of a foe's death, and was shocked by the repairman's condition. But just as he made a move, a crystal-like explosion energy shot out from the hand of the man called Crocodile and hit the magnetic assistant Yuan. With a bang, a blood hole burst out on the body of the magnetic assistant Yuan. The pupils of the Hidden Wolf girl shrank slightly. When the other party killed a foe just now, she only saw that person using a quirk similar to the number 2 professional hero Izir to kill a foe. But now, he has more than one quirk. Another foe? Hidden Wolf girl was shocked and immediately decided not to stay and spread the news immediately. No one had ever heard of this crocodile. When she was about to leave, he muttered to himself, "I have used my brainwashing personality to control hundreds of professional heroes and government officials. After that, this country will be mine from now on." The Emperor of the Dark World? Are you stupid enough to confront the whole society head-on? Put yourself on the opposite side? Ha ha ha. You are just a brainless idiot. Clean up this place first. After a few days, you will naturally become a senior government official. After brainwashing that shitty emperor and prime minister, who else in this society can disobey me? Professional heroes? What a joke. Then do the same thing and control other countries. The whole world will become my garden. Hidden Wolf girl widened her eyes when she heard the other party muttering to himself. Now, she no longer hesitated. carefully maintained her invisible personality, and left the 8 Houses Society. And Qin Ren, who was watching her immediately through the sun disk, also laughed. To be honest, after getting the 1,000-year-old staff, he immediately had many evil ideas. There is absolutely no problem with this. After a person suddenly gains some power, the first thought is basically, what can I do with this power? For example, when it comes to invisibility, the first thought of most people is to peek, steal, or even kill someone. Most of them are malicious thoughts. After the Qin people got the 1,000-year-old tin staff, their first thought was to use the 1,000-year-old tin staff to brainwash the top leaders of the country, and then the whole country would be theirs. What do you want to do at that time? To be honest, he really thinks that Afo, the so-called emperor of the dark world, is stupid as hell. Afo definitely has personality traits such as brainwashing and control. Even if he doesn't, his cooperating doctor can create so many brainless people that can be controlled, which is definitely technically feasible. And Afo behaves like a gangster boss in the plot, which is also funny. What? Because Afo disdains to control the country? No desire for state power? Okay, compared to controlling the entire country from top to bottom and exerting influence on the entire country, it is better to set up an organization by yourself, take one step at a time, slowly gather your subordinates, and do everything slowly. As for why the Qin people deliberately exaggerate terror and shape their image into a terrorist who tries to control the country, because Crocodile's character is like this. In One Piece, Lao Sha wants to obtain ancient weapons. Then, how did he do it? Dancing powder, also known as rain-calling powder, can produce mist-like smoke floating in the air, producing the so-called artificial rain. The origin of the name is to hope that people can dance and celebrate happily because of the rain. But once this powder is used, drought will occur in neighboring countries living in the downwind area. The country that discovered this will go to war, and the world government has banned the manufacture and possession of this powder since then. As the mastermind of the civil strife in the kingdom of Alabasta, Lao Sha used the side effects of the banned dancing powder to cause the kingdom of Alabasta to suffer from drought for 3 years, and put the blame on the country's king, Nefertari Kobra. Unknown to the people in the sleeves, they formed a rebel army because of dissatisfaction, and a serious war broke out with the king's army, while Crocodile himself was still regarded as a national hero. This Afo can't form cliques, can't induce the masses, can't take advantage of others, and is just a fool. He can only fight All Might head-on. In terms of means, Old Sand is not so good, but at least he is better than this so-called Afo. And Qin Ren deliberately leaked the news to Hidden Wolf in order to gather powerful professional heroes. It would be so troublesome to go looking for them one by one. It would be better to make trouble and let the professional heroes come to him together, so that they can kill him all at once. As for whether he will lose, with Qin Ren's current strength, he is not worried about losing at all. If he wants to leave, no one can stop him. And he still has the positive identity of Izir. Chapter 252 Public Enemy. After leaking his intentions through the Hidden Wolf army, Qin Ren sat in the courtyard of the 8 Houses Society openly, quietly waiting for people to come. While waiting for people to come, Qin Ren also opened all the bags he had just gotten for free. In an instant, the number of gold coins that he had reduced by brushing the exchange bar more than 70 times rose to more than 300,000 again. And as the number of gold coins increased, Purgatory became stronger. This is Purgatory's passive skill. It is based on the remnants of Ascension, and its body is also made of yellow sand gold coins. Item: Ascension Remnant, F, plus 20% F-level health plus 10% F-level movement speed plus 125% F-level health regeneration plus 2 gold coins / 10 seconds. Unique passive, Favor, provides unique active, Eye of the Oasis. Unique passive, Golden Sand. The more gold coins you hold, the more health you will gain. Every 1,000 gold coins will provide an additional 1% G-level health bonus. Currently, 326,845, 326.845%. The last skill is the skill that appeared after Qin Ren upgraded the Ascension Remnant from G level to F level. 326% G, in fact, is 3G, which is not a lot. In the future, there will definitely be a lot of gold coins accumulated. However, the problem is that if Qin Ren upgrades any skills or brushes the exchange column, it will cost gold coins, and this bonus will disappear. I don't know if the Ascension remnants are upgraded from F to E in the future. Will the bonus still be G, or will the health increase be increased from 1000 gold coins, 1% G health to 1000 gold coins, 2% health? It's hard to say at the moment, but it's not too important. G level vouchers, 632, F level vouchers, 75, E level vouchers, 3, D level vouchers, 0. The number of vouchers increased a lot after the Olympiad Pulse just now. However, there are not many E-level vouchers, and one of them was given by a foe. Apart from a foe, there shouldn't be many people in this world who can give him E-level vouchers. Generally speaking, the upper limit of the strength level in the world of Hero Academy is not high. It seems that there is no point in brushing any vouchers, and it seems that there is not much point in staying in this world. Gather a group of stronger heroes, brush a group of vouchers, and then go get the Lost Sun disc. After taking a look at the gold coin column, Qin Ren cast his sights on the exchange column. Item, Raptor Cape, G. Skill, Spell Shield, G. Item, Fighting Gloves, G. Skill, Darken Blade, G. Rune, Orb of Nullification, G. Raptor Cape and Fighting Gloves are both small items and can be thrown directly. Spell Shield is the E skill of Annie, which can block any skill and is ineffective against continuous skills. For example, if you use a fireball, you can block it, but if you stand in the magma and are constantly roasted by the fire, you can't block it. Darken Blade is the Q skill of Sword Demon Atrox. It is a 3-stage skill that can swing the Great Sword up to 3 times to cause area damage. It is just a physical attack, which adds attack power, not magic power. Ding 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 ding, accompanied by the sound effect of gold coins falling to the ground. More than 40,000 gold coins were missing from the gold coin column, and new items were also spawned in the exchange column. However, the things that appeared surprised him. Skill, Ghostly Swiftness, G. Item, Sun God's Winged Dragon, G. Item, Doran's Shield, G. Item, Amplification Book, G. Skill, Frenzy Taunt, G. Ghostly Swiftness can increase movement speed and ignore collision volume. Qin Ren made its effect pass through objects in the game. Doran's Shield and Amplification Book are also small items. They are useless, just throw them away. Frenzy Taunt is the E skill of the Dragon Turtle. As the name suggests, it can taunt nearby enemies. The distance, it seems to be 325 yards, that is, a radius of nearly 300 meters. This skill is quite useful. What surprised Qin Ren was not the ones mentioned above, but the skill, Sun God's Winged Dragon, G. As mentioned before, regarding the Sun God's Winged Dragon, that is, the winged dragon of Ra and the other 3 mythical gods, he originally only made design copywriting and did not implement them. However, he saw this skill. Without any hesitation, Qin Ren immediately exchanged it. Just as he was about to study it carefully, a group of people were approaching rapidly. You came at the wrong time. Qin Ren curled his lips and sat up from the courtyard of the Hikai Society. Boom. With a loud noise, a sturdy man dressed in the style of the Silver Age American comics appeared in front of him, looking at him with scrutiny and caution. You are Crocodile? The first person to come was All Might. Then, a group of heroes appeared one after another, including Izir, who was promoted to number 2 because of his recent active actions. That is, Qin Ren specially made a sand soldier clone to disguise as Izir, the sturdy man who used flames to linger around his body to form a beard mask and decorations in a showy manner. Number 3, the flame hero Endeavor, the man who usually has a lazy posture, now looking at him with caution and attention, standing next to Endeavor, has a pair of wings on his back. Number 4, the winged hero Hawks, wearing blue jeans, he looks like a handsome guy like a gigolo, a blonde trendy man who is very popular among the people in this society. Number 5, trendy bulking Hikamata Way, he is dressed in ninja clothes, with several sharp corners on his gray hair, which covers his left eye. He wears a mask on his mouth, a sharp armor on his right shoulder, white sleeves on his hands, a snake-like shape in the middle of his belt, and a pair of boots on his feet. Number 6. Ninja Hero Ikisha, a dark-skinned beauty with rabbit ears and a pom-pom-like rabbit tail hanging on her hips. She wears a combat suit that is similar to a one-piece swimsuit and exposes her thighs. Although it looks a bit erotic, those thighs, although slender and stylish, also look full of strength. Number 7. Rabbit Hero Mirko. Number 8. Strong Shield Hero Don Last. Number 10. Jungle God Nishiyamari. Number 11. Full Hero Ki Mosha. Number 12. Gangster Hero Gangster Killer Whale. Number 13. Wash Hero Washington. Except for the 9th ranked Long Jiu, also known as Purgatory, the top 20 professional heroes all appeared here. The heroes who were supposed to be all over Japan are all gathered here. As for the means, there are also teleporting personalities in the Hero Society. Moreover, not only these heroes, but also the teachers of UI, Zabu, Mike, Aizawa and others have appeared on the periphery. The teachers of Shiji High School are also there. Public enemies of society. This is me. Looking at this group of people, Qin Ren smiled. But you are not good enough. Qin Ren raised his right hand high, and the brilliant blue-white light accumulated in his hand. Chapter 253. What? I don't understand. While the heroes surrounded the Hikayakaya where Qin Ren was, some non-combat professional heroes also carried out the task of evacuating the crowd together with the police. Some of the professional heroes who did not know the details and were only assigned the evacuation task also turned their eyes curiously to the Hikayakai surrounded by a group of professional heroes. Is that Endeavor, and the Tide Bull King? Could that be Mirko? Izil is here too. And Dijishit. Could there be All Might? They all recognized the group of heroes that surrounded the Hikayakai. All Might, who was already inside the Hikayakai, did not enter the crowd's field of vision directly. That place is the Hikai Society, right? They actually dispatched so many top-ranked powerful heroes here. Is the threat of the Hikai Society that big? Who knows? Wait a minute, look, that should be Eraserhead, right? Even he has appeared. Really? But with him here, there will be no problem, right? He can erase his quirks. With his cooperation, there will be no problem. And there are so many top-ranked heroes, we can definitely solve it, but it may cause great damage to the surrounding buildings. We just need to pay attention to whether anyone escapes later. During the conversation, no one thought that under such a powerful lineup, there would be no one who could resist. Inside the Hikai Society, seeing the golden hook in Qin Ren's raised left hand and the blue-white energy between his right hand that looked like lightning, made All Might feel a palpitation. Not only him, but most other professional heroes also felt a sense of uneasiness when they saw Qin Ren's accumulated arcane pulse. Aizawa Shota glared, his eyes glowed red, and he stared at Qin Ren. But, the blue ball of light in the other party's hand did not disappear. Invalid? How could it be? First, glowing babies appeared in King City, China, and then newborns with supernormal abilities appeared all over the world. Because there are personalities that can easily take people's lives, governments of various countries have strict regulations to control the use of personalities. The types of personalities are divided into alien types that are continuously effective, activation systems and transformation systems that are temporarily effective. Whether it is a single or compound personality, it is usually discovered before the age of 4. Personality diagnosis will be organized in the first grade of elementary school and the first grade of junior high school. His own personality can suppress the personality factors in a certain target or a group of targets within the visual range, making their personalities unable to activate. Only the alien-type personality that is continuously effective when it awakens consciously cannot be suppressed by him. Even if it is a compound personality, he can suppress it. Even if it is a foe, he can suppress it. But my personality is not effective. He immediately shouted and told the other heroes this information. The other heroes immediately passed the news to each other, and All Might also heard this sentence. Immediately, the remaining of flames in his body made his legs burst out with surging power. With the sound of explosions, the ground was cracked with spiderweb-like cracks, and the whole person flew towards Qin Ren like a cannonball. Although it is unknown why Aizawa's quirk did not take effect, It is certain that this person knows Aizawa's quirk and has made some preparations. The quirk that can make Aizawa ineffective has also appeared in UI. Izir also used the operation of wrapping the body with sand so that Aizawa could not see it to curb the quirk. When he rushed over, Qin Ren showed a smile on his face, and fired the arcane pulse that had been accumulated to the limit in his hand. Not good. All Might instantly felt a terrifying chill. If you retreat, everyone behind you will be killed. Instantly, he realized this. However, he did not dodge, but went forward. All the remaining power of Ofen was accumulated in his fist, and the flame of Ofen was burned out. Texas smash. The all-out attack condensed a powerful wind pressure and blasted towards Qin Ren. However, Qin Ren's arcane pulse had already fallen. The huge arcane burst suddenly, and the pulse of 100 meters wide was instantly shot out. All Might, who was rushing towards him, was also hit by the arcane pulse. Although the other professional heroes also reacted, they had no time to avoid this terrifying pulse of 100 meters wide. Boom! The huge energy instantly blew all the buildings in front into pieces. The area of 100 meters wide and 1,000 meters long was instantly flattened by the arcane pulse. In an instant, including All Might, the professional heroes in front of Qin Ren and the civilians who retreated hundreds of meters away were instantly killed by the arcane pulse. In front of Qin Ren, there was only a pile of scorched earth and ruins. And All Might's attack only pushed Qin Ren back a few steps. The sand armor supported by the powerful magic power was not strong enough to be broken by All Might. If it was All Might in his prime, with Ofen, he might have been able to break his defense. But All Might now, that was not possible. The next moment, Qin Ren turned around, charged up another arcane pulse, and fired one in the opposite direction. Boom! The terrifying blue-white arcane instantly flattened all the buildings within a 700-yard range, and all the people within the range were killed. No CD is good. And the people outside the attack range were all horrified when they saw the terrifying scorched earth, especially in the huge arcane impact. The body of All Might, as a symbol of peace, was annihilated, which made everyone extremely horrified. But Qin Ren didn't care about that. He had to act quickly. He raised his hand, and 1/20th of his mana disappeared instantly. The huge mana gathered in his hands and formed a dark blue arcane. Boom, boom. 2 more arcane pulses were fired on the left and right sides, killing thousands of people. After doing this, Qin Ren activated his skills again. Time and space rupture. Time and space rupture. As his mana dropped twice, Qin Ren's body was protected by a shield converted from his mana, and he went back in time to 8 seconds ago. Just like a video played in reverse, time retreated step by step. Qin Ren heard All Might's familiar voice again. "You are Crocodile?" Hearing this, Qin Ren raised his eyelids. His eyes swept across the yellow sandbags in the inventory. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he stretched out his right hand to touch the golden hook in his left hand. "I am Crocodile. Mr. All Might, do you have something to talk to me about?" Plain dumb. He had almost taken all the yellow sandbags, and there was no need for him to fight them head-on, and his mana was only 60%. "Oh, no, it's a good time to test that thing." Item, Winged Dragon of the Sun God. G. Chapter 254, The Winged Dragon of the Sun God. Item, Sun God's Winged Dragon. G. Unique active, Incarnation of God, consume mana, sacrifice 3 animals, and transform into Sun God's Winged Dragon. Sphere unique passive, sleeping. Before being awakened, the sphere cannot attack and will not be the target of the opponent's attack. Unique passive, awakening. Recite the spell correctly to complete the transformation. Note: the advent of the Sun God requires 3 animals and the power of the animals. The god will be resurrected on the earth, and life and power will be combined into one. The enemies on the battlefield will be reduced to corpses in the flames. The flames of the god's anger will turn everything into ashes. When the time comes, the god will transform into a phoenix, and the chosen monster will sleep in the earth forever. In the inventory, the appearance of this item is a stone mural, just like the murals in the Egyptian pyramids. Looking at the description on the item, Qin Ren smiled. Because he loved to show off when he was a child, he actually memorized the spell of the Winged Dragon. But what should the sacrifice be? Qin Ren's sight swept across the yellow sand space. Thousands of light balls were floating above the endless desert. Although he had returned to the past through the time-space rupture after killing a large group of people, the light balls that only appeared after killing people still appeared in the yellow sand space. In fact, Qin Ren didn't quite understand. After killing someone, light balls did appear in the yellow sand space, but he should have returned to the past. Logically speaking, shouldn't he have not killed anyone? Of course, this idea only flashed through his mind for a moment. After all, he got the yellow sandbag after killing someone, but after returning to the past through Ike's time-space rupture, the yellow sandbag still existed, and the gold coins and vouchers did not decrease. The souls of the killed people still exist in the yellow sand space. With a precedent, it is not so difficult to accept. However, compared to these, use it first. With a thought, accompanied by the surging of mana, he instantly felt that there were 3 blue light balls in the yellow sand space, that is, 3 souls, which turned into ashes in an instant. And the sun pillar of purgatory seemed to light up. Qin Ren wanted to continue to explore, but the changes in his body surprised him. In the inventory, the relief of the mural with the pterosaur sphere inscribed on it disappeared from the inventory the moment he decided to activate it. Then it appeared in the yellow sand space, on his body, on the huge sun disk. In the center, a relief pattern appeared. It was a spherical pattern like a sun disk, with complex patterns like flames engraved on it. And right above it, there was a pattern similar to an eye, just like the eye symbol similar to the eye symbol on the sun disk of Qin Ren's body. In addition to this, in its lower left side, the overall shape is like a bird-dragon pattern standing up. The whole body is dark gold, like a metal creature forged from dark gold. The head is both the head of a lizard-shaped dragon and the head of a bird. Not only the head, but also the claws, wing, and body have a mixed feeling of bird-dragon, and a long tail extends from behind. On its lower left side, there is a firebird pattern composed of flames. Seeing these 4 patterns, the Qin people would naturally be familiar with them. The one in the middle is the symbol of the sun god Ra, the Eye of Ra, or the Eye of Horus. The sphere on the top is the spherical body of the sun god's pterosaur, which is also the sun disk on Ra's head. The bird dragon on the lower left is the true form of Ra's pterosaur, and the bird on the lower right is the pterosaur's phoenix form, the prototype of which is the Egyptian sunbird Bennu. Then, he suddenly discovered that there was an extra skill in his skill bar. Incarnation of God, Sun, G, use, consume mana, sacrifice 3 animals, and transform into the sun disk form. 1. Sun disk form, transform into a spherical body. The only passive, sleep. The spherical body cannot attack or become an attack target, enters sleep, and quickly restores its own health and mana. The only passive, awakening, recite the spell and transform into the pterosaur posture. 2. Pterosaur form, transform into the pterosaur form. Unique passive, sun god authority, when changing form, immune to any effect except direct attack, immune to fire attribute attack, light and holy attribute attack effect is halved. Fire, light, and holy attribute skills gain 500% effect increase. Mana flow attack is converted to fire attribute. Unique active, force life conversion, can reduce health points, convert health points into magic power, or convert magic power into health points. Unique active, sun god's wrath, permanently consume 10% of health points and kill the target directly. 3. Phoenix form, transform into phoenix form. Unique passive, true form, inherits all the abilities of the pterosaur form, and can only be converted into phoenix form when the pterosaur form is killed. Unique passive, rebirth, after launching an attack, transform into a spherical body. The body of Higahara Shachin, to which the Qin Ren was attached, was instantly burned to ashes in the terrifying flames transformed by mana. In this situation, All Might and a group of professional heroes couldn't help but jump their eyelids, thinking that this crocodile was going to launch an attack, and immediately retreated. However, what happened next shocked them. After the flames started burning on crocodile, the flames expanded instantly. 3 dark blue balls of light appeared in the flames and then quickly disappeared. The next moment, the terrifying flames flew into the sky. Whoosh! The blazing flames formed a huge fireball with a diameter of 50 or 60 meters in the sky, like a small sun. In the blazing flames, a brilliant light spread. The next moment, the flames on the surface of the huge fireball all faded. A dark golden sphere with a diameter of 50 or 60 meters floated in the sky, and this huge sphere floating in the sky made everyone look up. What on earth is this? How should we deal with it? The eyes of the professional heroes were also extremely vigilant. Is this a transformation type quirk? I don't know. The information I got from the hidden wolves is that the sky is another UFO. But is UFO really dead? Could it be a conspiracy by UFO? Is this guy actually UFO? All Might. Does UFO have this kind of quirk? While the professional heroes were on alert and asking All Might to verify their guess, Endeavor stood up. No matter what, this guy is an illegal immigrant. Let's subdue him first. After saying that, Endeavor crossed his arms over his chest, flames surged in his hands, and he condensed into a flaming spear, aiming at the huge sphere and shooting. The flames drew a long and narrow trajectory and hit the sphere. P.S. Sorry, I forgot to update the settings. Chapter 255, Giant God Soldiers Stand on the Earth. However, it was useless. The fire spear that Ingvar condensed, when it pierced the Qin man in the spherical posture, it went straight through and emerged from the other end. It was as if the huge dark golden sphere was just an illusion, and the Qin man and it also felt very special. He was completely unable to make any movements, but he seemed to have disappeared from the world and could not be attacked. His life and mana were recovering at a very fast speed. In addition, this huge posture made the onlookers feel all kinds of surprises, doubts, and even panic and fear. The high momentum value made the recovery speed much faster. If you want to get out of this posture, you need to recite the spell. Qin, who was familiar with the situation, waited for a minute while the professional heroes used various methods to attack and test. After he fully recovered, he silently chanted the spell in his heart. Everyone present heard the low chanting, in a completely incomprehensible language, with a voice full of reverence and fear, chanting something. Almighty Sun and Guardian of the Sky, unseal the orb of light and surround the desert with light. Transform from the posture of the orb of light, show anger to the enemy with flames, and bring victory. Call on the name of God. Ra's winged dragon. Voices came one after another, emerging in various places, and the people present looked around in astonishment or horror. The voices came from the air, the ground, and from various directions. When they found that the voices came from the empty air around them, everyone was even more shocked. Along with the voices, cracks appeared on the dark golden giant ball, and bright light shot out from the cracks, and flames spread out from the cracks. Everyone raised their heads at the same time, and in the golden and red smoke clouds formed by the gathering of flames and golden light, the huge dark golden sphere was slowly opening. Then, a sound that sounded like a beast's roar, a bird's cry, and a human voice came from the dark golden sphere. Buzz buzz buzz, the whole sky, not knowing whether it was because of the sound coming from the dark golden giant ball or because the existence in the dark golden giant ball appeared, the whole sky seemed to be shaking. The sunlight from the sky also changed, gathering towards the dark golden giant ball. Other locations began to slowly darken, while the location of the dark golden giant ball became brighter. What on earth happened? It seems that our attacks are ineffective. What should we do? The smoke cloud formed by the flames and sunlight made it impossible for everyone to see what changes had taken place in the dark golden giant ball. Some professional heroes wearing filter lenses on their combat uniforms were shocked. What is that? A transformation type quirk? What kind of quirk is that? Has anyone seen it? What on earth did you see? Monster? It's definitely a monster. A professional hero with a cat-like personality and keen vision raised his sunglasses. In the sky, the dark golden giant ball has opened. A dazzling dark golden giant creature, like a god, appeared in the center of the smoke condensed by flames and brilliance. The body that seemed to be cast out of gold, full of metallic feel, like a dragon-like creature. The front of the dragon's head is a sharp snout similar to a bird's beak, and the metallic membranous wings also have feather-like lines and grooves. The two pairs of sharp claws are like lizards, mixed with a feeling similar to that of birds. But no matter what, The sacredness and terror like the sun emerged in his heart. The next second, he saw the huge golden wings slowly raised. Its wings are raised. I don't know what to do. He hurriedly told others, the wings are raised. Is it going to fly away, or is it going to attack? A group of heroes who had observed in various ways or obtained information through others' retelling, while being alert, made guesses. And the next second, after observing his own body shape, Qin Ren flapped his wings. The dark golden giant wings flapped, and the scorching storm swept the ground with the flapping of the wings. Whoosh whoosh, the terrifying storm, wrapped in high temperature, enveloped a group of professional heroes. All Might and Endeavor, who has the fiery quirk, immediately felt this terrifying hot wind and shouted, "Everyone get out! Get out!" Although everyone was a little puzzled, they immediately chose to retreat. However, their speed was not faster than the terrifying hot wind. The terrifying hot wind ignited all the flammable materials in an instant. The sudden expansion of high temperature and violent hurricane instantly blew away most of the people present, except for Endeavor, who could withstand high temperatures. All Might stood for a few seconds, but after feeling the scorching heat, he knew that his body could not bear it, so he immediately chose to retreat. Damn it, what kind of personality is this? Endeavor frowned and held on to his body in the storm. In addition to him, even Izir retreated. Endeavor, who was forced to lower his head because of the storm, saw the grass and various flammable materials around him that were instantly ignited, and his face was solemn. However, Endeavor could not move forward at all. He held onto his body and stood in place. As the storm became stronger and stronger, he could only crawl on the ground. Damn it, All Might relied on his strong physical fitness to quickly retreat. By the way, after rescuing those who could not cope with the hot wind, he looked up at the sky with an ugly face and made the same sound as Endeavor. Damn it, All Might, we can't wait any longer, I'll go first. Hearing the voice, All Might turned to the side in astonishment, and Izir was looking at him with a worried face. If this goes on, everyone will be seriously injured, and our combat power will be greatly reduced. As if he had made up his mind, Izir pounded his chest with both fists, his face firm. We are heroes. All Might, I will try my best to find the weakness of this crocodile. Izir, All Might wanted to say something, but at this moment, he felt the vibration below and quickly dodged. The next moment, accompanied by a roar, countless quicksands rose from under the ground and condensed in the sky. Obelisc's giant god soldier. Boom. As the ground cracked and the quicksand surged, a giant who was 50 meters tall, with muscle-like lines and ferocious and powerful, stood on the earth. Crocodile. With the roar of the giant god soldier incarnated by Izir, the violent hot wind suddenly stopped. Everyone saw the figure of the Pteranodon. The next moment, the two huge monsters collided with each other. Boom. Chapter 256, Giant God Soldier vs. Winged Dragon. Boom. With a loud rumble, the two giants collided with each other. The storm stirred up by the huge forces of both sides was like a small nuclear bomb explosion. The terrifying high temperature and storm instantly enveloped the area of nearly 1,000 meters around, dyeing all objects red. The closer you are to the two giants, the greater the impact you will receive. If you can release flames, you can certainly withstand high temperatures. Otherwise, you can't withstand the high temperature of the flames at all, and being burned is impossible. However, although Endeavor can withstand high temperatures, he can't withstand the carrier of high temperatures, the storm. In an instant, he was blown away by the storm, flying dozens of meters away. Other people who were hundreds of meters away from the center were also blown back several meters or even blown away by the strong wind pressure. However, this was only because they were small in size. The terrifying hot wind exploded, lifting all the nearby billboards and roofs. The windows and doors of houses and buildings suddenly shattered, and countless glass, metal, and wood chips flew. Trees were cut in half or even uprooted. The strongest typhoon in history was not this terrifying. What was even more different from a typhoon was that there was no humid water vapor in this terrifying storm. Only a heart-pounding high temperature. Inflammable materials such as cloth and wood products were instantly ignited by the high temperature. With All Might's physical fitness, he was naturally not afraid of the storm, but he was powerless to deal with the high temperature lingering around him. When the hot wind hit, he could only try his best to save a few civilians who were moving slower and who didn't know how to live or die to watch the excitement. After retreating a few hundred meters, All Might turned his sights to the sky. The remaining flames of Ophe allowed him to blast out a strong wind pressure. But at the moment, with Izir and the two giants called Crocodile Incarnation as the center, the air within nearly 1,000 meters around had become a high-temperature zone. The storm he could blast out was of no help. The professional heroes with the cooling quirk of creating frost were afraid to use it because they were afraid of explosions caused by the rapid change of hot and cold air. Only the professional heroes with the water control quirk were taking cooling measures, and the professional heroes who could tolerate high temperatures immediately launched rescue operations to rescue civilians. What he could do was to create a cyclone by blasting out wind pressure to induce rainfall. But the problem was that even if it rained, the temperature would not drop for a while, and he didn't know if it would have any effect on the golden monster that looked like a bird dragon. However, he knew that the rain might affect Izir, who was already at a disadvantage, and lead to his defeat. Damn it! All Might clenched his fists tightly, his eyes fixed on the two monsters. Seeing the situation, the professional heroes also felt that something was wrong, but they were clear-headed and understood the current situation just like All Might. The Qin people, who had transformed into a pterosaur, launched another attack on Izir with great momentum. The sharp beak that looked like a dragon and a bird opened, and a powerful flame shot out, hitting the chest of the giant soldier. In the burning flames, the body of the quicksand condensed into a high-temperature orange-red. However, although it looks exaggerated, it actually has no power at all. It just looks powerful. How can you really fight yourself? If you really fight, his mana will not last long. Now Qin Ren's operation is to reduce the power of magic and increase the special effects. But it's actually quite fun, if it is placed in martial arts. This should be called fighting left and right. There are all kinds of distractions in my heart, but the pterosaur incarnated by Crocodile and the giant soldier incarnated by Izir are fighting back and forth fiercely. After the sand on the chest of the pterosaur was burned into crystals by the flames of the pterosaur, the giant soldier raised his giant fist and punched the pterosaur in the chest. The giant fist, which was 6 or 7 meters wide, blasted out at a terrifying speed, and was gradually accelerating. Soon, the front end of the giant fist formed a series of stable bow-shaped shockwaves in the scorching air. After the giant fist blasted past, circles of air vortices suddenly burst out, breaking through the sound barrier. The speed reached twice the speed of sound, and the punch of Tumix hit the chest, and the body of the pterosaur incarnated by Qin suddenly trembled. The surging fiery red ripples emerged from the position where the giant soldier hit the pterosaur, and was knocked back a step. No, to be precise, the pterosaur flying in the air retreated a body. Although there was no damage, it looked quite imposing. At least, in this punch, Qin's momentum value increased a lot. Whether it was the actions of Izir or Crocodile, they could bring him an increase in momentum. Everyone watched the two behemoths fight with trepidation. The next moment, everyone saw that the dark golden bird dragon, with golden light and flames all over its body, flapped its huge wings, retreated a distance, and then turned into a golden red meteor, and its whole body crashed into the giant god soldier. Seeing this situation, the giant god soldier retracted his right fist, clenched his huge fist, and swung it again. Boom! The terrifying storm, like a small nuclear bomb, broke out again, carrying a terrifying high-temperature storm, once again burning the ground, and the surging flames ignited all combustibles, melting steel, and killing all living things. Even though the professional heroes had retreated a kilometer away, they were still corroded by the flames. They dared not inhale the scorching air into their lungs, otherwise it would kill people in minutes. Some people did die. Although the professional heroes acted quickly, the civilians could not be completely rescued. Although the crowd had been evacuated beforehand, there were many civilians who gathered near the scene. The professional heroes were in this terrifying storm and could not take care of themselves, let alone save them. At this moment, unlike the previous feeling, Qin Ren had no psychological burden caused by killing people. After transforming into the winged dragon of the sun god, He felt a sense of loneliness and indifference. Gods and humans are not the same. To gods, there is no difference between humans and other animals. They are all inferior creatures. Now, killing people is like stepping on ants or insects when he was a human. When Qin Ren realized this idea, he was also slightly stunned. His original identity was undoubtedly a human, but now, he is not. The identity has changed. The butt determines the head, a common saying emerged in Qin Ren's mind. However, even gods have desires and will be dominated by desires. There is no need to be specific about the 70, 80, or 90 sins such as lust and greed. What you want to do and what you don't want to do are the manifestations of desire. Without desire, it is neither a human nor a god, but a machine. He has not changed in any special way. With a roar like a bird's cry and a dragon's roar, the Qin people's incarnation of the winged dragon was surrounded by more flames. And the giant god soldier, with its right fists melted into crystals by the high-temperature flames, also charged out again. Boom! Exclamation mark with a loud rumble. The scorching red flame ripples spread again. The ground cracked, the buildings collapsed, and the scorched earth was burned like a meteorite. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257, A Dark Shadow. The disaster caused by the enemy group Baroque Works caused a total of 7,132 deaths and more than 126,847 injuries. A large area of fire broke out in Chiyoda District, Tokyo, and a large number of buildings were destroyed. The desert hero, Izir, fought against villain Crocodile for an hour. Although he successfully defeated Crocodile, he died due to his severe injuries. Heavy armor hero, Carol. Dragon Rider hero, Long Jiu. The news broadcast on TV, radio, and the internet did not give people a sense of rebirth after surviving a disaster. On the contrary, as the list of heroes who died was broadcast one by one, the hearts of both the public and the professional heroes were shrouded in clouds. They would not ignore the phrase repelled crocodile. The extremely powerful enemy was only repelled, not captured or killed. This was even more true in the hearts of the professional heroes who knew the inside story. They had not forgotten the information that the hidden wolf force had sent them before. Crocodile has the same personality as Ofa. He has controlled the top government officials of many countries through brainwashing personality. He came to Japan to control the top government officials of Japan, attempting to subvert the world. This kind of global crisis is no joke. This news also spread to countries around the world. All countries were in a panic. Each country screened the existing leadership through various personalities, trying to find the top leaders who were brainwashed by Crocodile. Then, they really found it, and the top leaders of various countries were in various kinds of confusion. In Egypt, 3 people were slowly moving towards a pyramid. 2 women and 1 man. One was a seductive beauty with a human body and a snake tail, and the other was a woman with a dragon tail and dragon wings. It is worth noting that except for her skin, all other parts of her body, whether it was the dragon wings, dragon tail, hair or eyes, were all golden like gold coins. The woman in the snake woman posture had a delicate look, and her eyes kept wandering around, feeling quite restless. The woman in the dragon woman posture had a solemn look. Her eyes did not change, and was full of a strange sense of sacredness. In front of the two, a blond young man had his hands in his pockets. In front of him, the pages of his mobile phone were constantly flipping, and page after page of news messages caught the young man's eyes. The senior officials who were brainwashed by me. Have you really found them? Qin Ren sneered. He had never brainwashed any government senior officials. Oh, no, there were some. He brainwashed a professional hero with a detonating personality to go to a shrine and detonate the entire shrine. As for what happened in various countries, you don't need to think about it to understand what happened. Those political parties just used this incident to attack their political opponents, saying that so-and-so was brainwashed, and then used public power for personal gain. Shaking his head, Qin Ren's eyes left the phone, the surging mana disappeared, and the phone instantly disintegrated and shattered, turning into countless quicksands that dissipated in the air. His eyes turned to the front, and he could feel that the lost sun disk in this world was just below the pyramid in front. With a wave of his palm, the vortex gathered in his palm, making a sharp buzzing sound. With a clench of his hand, the sand mist rotating at high speed in his palm flew out instantly and expanded rapidly at an extremely fast speed. Whoosh whoosh, the howling of the sandstorm began for only a second, and the palm-sized vortex of wind and sand had already formed a huge sand roll that was a meter wide and nearly 1,000 meters high, and instantly hit the pyramid. Countless quicksands surged, and the desert around the entire pyramid surged instantly, forming a quicksand vortex. The entire pyramid also quickly disintegrated in the sand roll. It's indeed here, I'm not mistaken. On the other side, at UI High School, in the first grade A class, during the break, Kirishimajiro left his seat and prepared to walk to the side of the others. When passing by the first empty seat in the first row on the left, Kirishimajiro couldn't help but pause, and his eyes fell on the empty seat. I don't know where Higawara classmate went. Yamamamo walked behind him, looked at the seat, and sighed. After the end of the Chiyoda battle and the news of Teacher Izir came, she disappeared. After saying that, her eyes swept around and looked at everyone. At this time, she noticed that Chang'an Taein, who was not far to her right, had a dull look in his eyes. Out of concern and curiosity, she couldn't help but ask, "Chang'an-san?" "Oh, nothing," Chang'an Taein answered, stood up, left his seat, and walked out of the classroom. But Wanbai looked at his back as he left, a little confused. "Chang'an-san?" For some reason, she felt that he was a little strange. It was as if he had suddenly become a different person. No, he was just in a bad mood because of the matter between Teacher Izir and classmate Higawara, right? But Wanbai shook his head after making his own guess. After leaving the classroom, Chang'an Taein came to the roof. Although his sight was looking to the west, Chang'an's sight was still dull. The next second, a dark shadow monster with a crow's head and a snake's body emerged from his abdomen. Its gaze was also looking towards the west. "It's so rare that I finally gave up that boring pity. He is obviously the reincarnation of the evil god, but he has the bad habits of lower creatures and is even worse than that little snake." As it spoke, it stretched lazily. "Compared to that waste Igor, it's better for me to do it myself." The master is still waiting for him to grow up and tear apart the throne of the 9 pillars of the source. The pair of black claws like bird claws touched its chin. "Dragging is really annoying. What should I do in the next world? By the way, let's be straightforward and further accelerate his growth rate." As it spoke, a ball of black mist surged between the hands of the parasitic shadow, forming a book. "Fate, Jojo, Overload. By the way, just choose this one. Godslayer can make him take shape quickly." "I've decided. Just choose this one." He patted the black book with his right hand, and a stream of light flew out of the black book and disappeared into the air. "It's so boring. I can only run around with him. It would be great if some invaders came to invade the Night Crow World Group. It would be a good way to kill time," Parasitic Shadow complained lazily. The next moment, a dark, ominous, evil shadow broke away from the body of Parasitic Shadow. "Come to think of it, it seems that Lord Prometheus said some time ago that he wanted to integrate the energy sources of these worlds together, and clean up these worlds. By the way, the time is almost up, right?" "Forget it. It's not my business anyway." After saying that, a dark crack appeared in the air. After the shadow drilled in, the crack quickly closed. Chang'an Taein and Parasitic Shadow, who were standing in place, recovered from their dull eyes. "Dark Shadow, why are we here?" "I don't know." Chapter 258 Egypt. In the chaotic void, worlds floated like bubbles. At this time, accompanied by a wave, a sandy yellow virtual world slowly emerged from one world. A faint, imperceptible black light emerged from the side of this sandy yellow virtual world, pulling this sandy yellow world from the original world to another world. In this illusory sandy yellow world, endless yellow sand surged, and a huge disk floated above a city-state that looked like a ruin. When the black light appeared, the huge disk trembled slightly. "It seems like there is something." The disk, or the Qin people, looked outside the world. However, he did not see anything. Although he felt something vaguely, the feeling was only fleeting. and he could not even be sure what made him feel this way. He himself did not even understand where this feeling should be classified. Crisis? Not really. He shook his head, and a burst of light flashed on the huge disk. A man with a bird's head and a human body appeared in front of the sun disk. This was his incarnation. However, looking at his own posture, the huge eye pattern on Qin Ren's body shone again, and the conspicuous bird-headed human body was instantly burned by the scorching and sacred flames. A burst of golden light passed by, and a blond young man emerged again. "I'm more used to the human form." As he said that, the young man's body disappeared in the yellow sand space. The hot wind, which was not strong, swept up the sand and sprinkled it into the air. Qin Ren slowly opened his eyes. This time, he finally saw how he entered the new world. The yellow sand space stayed on the outside of the world, and his will incarnation, or called the clone, disappeared from the yellow sand space, passed through the membrane of the world, and entered this world. The moment he entered this world, he instantly felt an attraction to put his invisible and intangible will incarnation into a body. Just like classification, he should have been assigned to a body that had a good affinity with his will incarnation. However, halfway through, Qin Ren activated the Millennium Key to make his will incarnation from virtual to real. He already had a physical body. After he did this, the force that was supposed to drag his will into a certain body disappeared. The place where the Qin people appeared was a city full of style. Is this the Middle East? Or Egypt? Egypt is a country that is generally quite pathetic. Most of the world's civilizations basically originated from river civilizations. The Nile River Basin, the Two Rivers Basin, the Indus River, the Ganges River Basin, the Yellow River Basin, the Yangtze River Basin, etc. are all the origins of large civilizations. It is not that there will be no human civilization in other places, but that in the river area, irrigation, agriculture and large-scale development can be carried out. Early countries were basically established and developed on the basis of agricultural economy and showed their own civilization characteristics. Egypt, of course, relied on the Nile River. According to archaeological excavations, more than 9,000 years ago, people settled in the Nile River Valley, began to build houses on the shore, and carried out agricultural and animal husbandry production activities. More than 7,000 years ago, Egyptians began to use bronze, laying the foundation for the formation of civilization. After that, ancient Egypt entered the pre-dynastic period I, also known as the Amrad period, when private ownership and class sprouted, similar to the Western Zhou dynasty in China. Then came the pre-dynastic period II, when private ownership and royal power were established, similar to the Qin dynasty. The image of the eagle god Horus, which symbolizes royal power, can be found in the unearthed cultural relics. Horus, as an image of a god, is quite early. Later, in the late Gersa period, various small countries continued to fight each other and gradually unified into two countries, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. Hieroglyphics also appeared at this time, and were called hieroglyphics by the Egyptians themselves, and then used for more than 3,500 years. Around 3100 BC, it is said that King Menz of Upper Egypt unified Upper and Lower Egypt, established the first dynasty, and became the first pharaoh of ancient Egypt. From then on, ancient Egypt began its dynastic period. In terms of dynasties and texts, Egypt is the earliest civilization. After that, in the Third Dynasty, pyramids began to appear. The period of prosperity was intermittent, just like China. However, after the 14th Dynasty, it declined again, was expelled by Asian immigrants, and moved south to Thebes. The invading Asian immigrants established the Hyksos dynasty, which means outsiders. They imitated Egyptian culture, and the rulers were also called pharaohs. The subsequent 15th to 17th dynasties were vassals of the Hyksos dynasty. The 18th to 20th dynasties are the most famous historical stages of Egypt. The expansionist Thutmose, the female pharaoh Hatshepsut, the great emperor Ramses II, Amenhotep who worshipped Aten, and Tutankhamun, who was famous for archaeology, all belong to this period. After the 25th dynasty, Egypt was invaded and conquered by the Assyrians. Later, It was occupied by the Persian Empire. Cambyses II of Persia still called himself pharaoh. Then Alexander the Great defeated Persia and took over Egypt. Amon-Ra, the fusion image of the Greek god and the Egyptian god, was formed during this period. Although Amon is a god of Thebes, he is actually the image of Zeus. Amon was translated into Zeus in ancient Greek, and both are the highest gods in mythology. When the ancient Greeks worshipped Zeus, they called him Zeus Ammon. Then Alexander the Great died and the Ptolemaic dynasty was split off. This dynasty was greatly influenced by Greek culture. Then, it was ruled by Rome and deeply influenced by Christianity, and the ancient Egyptian writing was lost. Then, it was ruled by the Arabs and Arabized. By the 12th century, Egyptians generally spoke Arabic and converted to Islam. This is the most embarrassing thing. Although modern Egyptians believe that they are descendants of ancient Egyptians, they are already dominated by foreign cultures in terms of culture. Before tourists go to Egypt, their first impression should be various pyramids, sphinxes, pharaohs, mummies and the like, but after going to Egypt, you will find that various Islamic-style buildings are everywhere in Egypt. Islam has become the mainstream religion, and the cultural style has also become an Islamic culture. The land is still the same, but the house has changed, and the decoration has also changed. Ancient Egypt has become history. Qin Ren condensed the sun disk and expanded his vision. He soon learned from various slogans translated into Chinese that this place was Egypt. But what kind of world is this? He did not observe anyone with extraordinary powers, nor, wait a minute, what is that? Question mark. Chapter 259 Horus? Question mark. It was a humanoid creature with an eagle's head and a human body, wearing an Egyptian crown, a linen skirt around his waist, holding an energy staff and a life symbol. He looked like an Egyptian pharaoh, and also like the sun. From his body, a sacred and brilliant sunlight emerged. When Qin Ren looked at him, he seemed to see Qin Ren as well, and then his face changed drastically, and endless anger arose spontaneously. Ugly evil god, actually transformed into my body. You are ugly. Your whole family is ugly. Who the hell transformed into your body? Wait a minute. Qin Ren, whose mind instantly flashed with countless classic Chinese curses, suddenly remembered something and looked at the strange man with a bird's head and a human body, whose body was constantly emitting golden light and attracted the attention of everyone around him. Are you Horus? I am Horus, the ruler of the fertile land, the holder and guardian of the royal power. Hearing the question, Horus's eagle eyes showed a proud look. Evil god, your disguise will be completely torn apart by the light of the sacred sun, and you will be killed by the wrath of God. As he spoke, he raised his right hand, and a blazing light appeared on the simple cane. The light condensed into a flail and a hook. However, this seemingly simple attack made Qin Ren's scalp numb. He was very familiar with Egyptian mythology, so he naturally knew what these two things were. Horus killed Set, the god of the desert, with a flail and a hook. The hook and flail condensed by the light flew towards him at a very fast speed the moment they appeared. Spell shield. Although Qin Ren sensed it, he only had time to use Sever's spell shield. The moment the blue transparent spherical shield appeared around him, it was hit by the hook flail. The hook disappeared and disappeared with the shield at the moment it hit the spell shield, and the flail, after the hook, hit Qin Ren's body heavily. Crack. The sand armor maintained by Mana was pierced the moment it was hit by the flail. The flail continued to move and directly pierced Qin Ren's body. However, despite the victory, Horus did not smile. His eyes turned to the other side. Cunning evil god, he actually escaped. Then, his eyes turned to the evil god pierced by the flail. The gravel broke away from the fake evil god and scattered into the air, dissipating in the wind and sand. Sand? Is it Set? Horus's eagle head twisted slightly, revealing a trace of doubt, but then turned into absolute firmness and confidence. Your plot is useless. In the glory of Ra, your plot will only fail. On the other side, in the desert, Qin Ren, who used the effect of the sand fruit to turn into flying sand, flashed and then used various acceleration skills such as ghost sprint to fly quickly, and even used the rocket belt to escape from the urban area, breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that Horus did not chase him. My god, what kind of world is this? Horus has escaped? Qin Ren is still a little confused now. If he had been hit by Horus's attack just now, he would really die. Although he has 3 lives, Qin Ren doesn't want to die inexplicably, and the flail and hook condensed by Horus with light will cause great damage to him. To be precise, it will cause great damage to the sand. Qin Ren could also guess the reason. Horus defeated Set with the hook and flail, tore off Set's balls, and defeated the god of the desert. The hook and flail brought special attacks against the desert and sand. Special attack. Wait, is this type moon? Qin Ren had a guess in his mind, but then shook his head, feeling something was not right. But anyway, Qin Ren couldn't beat Horus in terms of direct strength. If the other party was really a god, it would not be unacceptable. Although his current strength is considered strong in the Hero Academy and can be invincible, his actual level rating is less than E. Now, only his bloodline, the Eye of the Sun, has reached D. If Horus ran to the yellow sand space, he would not be afraid. In the yellow sand space, his original body could exert hundreds of times more power than now. It should be no problem to deal with the Horus just now. But now this incarnation of will, which is equivalent to a clone, cannot fight Horus head-on, not to mention the strength. Just the fact that his body is made of sand. He was restrained by the flail and hook condensed by Horus with sunlight. What a bad start. He was restrained as soon as he came to this world. Wait a minute, light. Qin Ren's eyes swept across the skill bar. Incarnation of God, Sun, G. Immune to fire attribute attacks. Light and holy attribute attacks have half the effect. If used well, there is a chance. Guardian Angel has 1 chance to revive. The Lamb of Azazel of the Demon God's Holy Grail can also provide 1 resurrection. The Incarnation of God, after transforming into a pterosaur and being killed, can also be resurrected as a phoenix into a spherical body. Time and space rupture can make the world retreat 4 seconds and restore health. The spell shield skill of the Wheel Mother can resist 1 attack. Banshee's Veil can also resist 1 attack, but in order to restore mana, the necklace he is wearing now is Redemption. Qin Ren opened the equipment bar, took off Redemption, and equipped the necklace of Banshee's Veil. Damn it, when I figure out what kind of world this is, I will find a chance to kill you. The imminent life and death crisis made Qin Ren swear in Chinese, and then his eyes turned to the certificate column. G-level certificate, 1486, F-level certificate, 432, E-level certificate, 3. If the upper and lower levels are replaced, it will become 6 G-level, 2 F-level, 61 E-level certificates, and the upper level will be 1 E-level and 6 D-level. If you get 4 D-level, you can upgrade your bloodline level, upgrade to C-level. At this time, Qin Ren, who did not stop and kept flying forward, saw 2 groups of people in his field of vision. If they were just ordinary people, it would be fine, but the 2 groups of people stood face to face, and the leaders of both sides had serious faces. St. George, I will defeat the dragon in front of me now, at the risk of your noble name. On one side, a young man with short silver-white hair did not continue the confrontation, but immediately began to chant the spell loudly, and then stretched out his right hand. A strange power surged, and a red spear suddenly appeared in his hand. This thing cannot be given to you. The bronze black cross. But I can't give it to you. The red bronze black cross either. The one who responded was an elegant young man with long black hair standing in the front of the group opposite him. Seeing the other party's action, he also raised his hand. Mountains of Gilboy, I pray that the nectar will rain down on you. Offer the hungry beasts the sacrifice they crave. One by one, the dark beasts, similar to wolfhounds, emerged from under the ground as the spell was chanted, and in an instant, 10 of them gathered. Then there is no need to say more. Let's see who is stronger. The young man with short silver-white hair raised the spear in his hand and threw it out with force. Oh, Red Cross Wedge, tear the dragon scales and dig out the internal organs. Martyred Knight, I ask, grant my body the medal of bravery. With the chanting, the flying spear turned into a silver lion and pounced on the dark beasts. But at this moment, a voice sounded. Wait a minute, you said, you are the copper black cross and the bronze black cross? Chapter 260 I, Autumn, the Card King, let me know. Hearing this sudden sound, Both the copper black cross and the bronze black cross were stunned. In the center of the battlefield, a blond young man appeared there, holding a ram's head in his hand. Seeing this situation, both sides immediately stopped their attacks. "Stop, come back." The tall lion incarnated by the spear stopped in a hurry, turned into a stream of light, and returned to the hands of the silver-haired young man. The dark beasts on the other side also stopped their actions and retreated in front of the black-haired young man. The sight moved from the ram's head in the young man's hand to the other's face. Seeing the smile on the corner of the other's mouth, the silver-haired young man frowned. "I am Izir Qin of the Copper Black Cross. Who are you?" "Oh." Qin Ren nodded calmly, and then turned his sight to the black-haired young man on the other side. "What about you?" "Poknikr, affiliated with the Bronze Black Cross." The black-haired young man didn't understand, but still gave an answer. Then, Qin Ren asked another question. "Do you know the God Slayer?" Hearing this, the two of them looked tense. "Who are you?" The two quickly recalled the images of the 7 existing God Slayers in their minds, and after comparing Qin Ren's golden hair as a feature, they said in unison, "Sword King?" "No." "Who are you?" Bronze Black Cross and Red Copper Black Cross are both magic societies in southern Europe. Although the Sword King often travels around the world and there are few opportunities to meet him, they will know him. Qin Ren did not answer. Based on the keywords Bronze Black Cross, Red Copper Black Cross, God Slayer, and Sword King, he determined the world he was in. God Slayer is a 12-year harem show. In the story, in this world, people weave all kinds of myths, and myths create all kinds of gods. The gods should also maintain their roles in their own myths to make the world run normally. But not all gods are obedient and obey their own mythological roles, leaving their original positions and appearing in the world. Those who disobeyed the original myths were called disobedient gods and disobedient gods. They included heroes, angels, and monsters in legends and myths. Such disobedient gods had powerful powers in their hands, which would bring disasters. In such a situation, some magicians appeared, using the weaknesses of the gods recorded in myths to knock down and kill the disobedient gods. These people were called God Slayers. Those who killed gods could take away the power of gods. And these God Slayers, after gaining power, naturally would not continue to be ordinary people. The God Slayers who used the power they had taken without scruples like Nouveau Riche were called Demon Kings for a while. Of course, the title of Demon King, which carries feelings of fear and disgust, naturally cannot be used casually. These God Slayers finally ruled one region after another. They ruled also combined the meanings of King and Demon King and came up with the title of King. The Bronze Black Cross and the Red Copper Black Cross are both magic associations in Italy. Salvatore Dani, the King of Swords who ruled Italy, had the Southern European Magic Society under his command. Sacha de Jansto Vauban, or Marquis Vauban, the Wolf King who ruled the Balkan Peninsula in Eastern Europe, had the Northern European Magic Society Alliance under his command. Anne Charlton, the Pluto who ruled the United States. Alexander Gascoigne, the Black Prince who ruled the United Kingdom. Luo Hao, the King of Martial Arts who ruled the Celestial Empire, was a woman, by the way. She had titles such as Leader of the Chinese Martial Arts World and Leader of the Five Hells Holy Church, which made the Celestial Empire feel quite annoyed. Lady Aisha, the Queen of the Demon Cave, who did not rule any country but lived in seclusion in Alexandria. There was also the protagonist of the original work, the harem king Kusanagi Godu. After thinking about the world he came to was the God Slayer, Qin Ren couldn't help but smack his lips. The martial arts value of this world is not low. Sword King Tony's attack can change the continental framework. Pluto Annie's magic bullet can cover the entire California. Wolf King Marquis Vauban has the ability to change the weather of a country, not like All Might, but to change the weather of an entire country. Lady Aisha can cause natural disasters and famine. The white horsepower of Kyokusanagi's brother is believed to cover the entire Kanda region. 4 medium-sized cities. The attack of the martial arts king Luo Hao can reach the scale of a typhoon. The Black Prince can easily change the terrain. To be honest, the current strength of the Qin people is rated as D. It is easy to annihilate an army of thousands of people, but it is still impossible to cover an entire city with an attack. If it can be upgraded to sea level, It will be a direct destruction and resistance to the city level power. It is not a shame to be unable to beat Horus. Although that guy is not as high as the end god in status, he is at least one of the oldest gods in Egypt. Speaking of which, the Qin people have an idea. Should I play with the identity of a godslayer, or should he play around with the identity of the god of disobedience? Azra's image comes from Horus, and he has a grudge against Horus, so he will definitely kill Horus later. After killing Horus, will he act as Horus, or will he find an opportunity to kill a few Egyptian gods and then play around with the identity of the pharaoh? Speaking of the pharaoh, Qin Ren waved his hand, and his image changed in the surging quicksand. His hair was black with red and golden bangs, forming spikes as if fixed with glue, and there was a tuft of lightning-shaped bangs on his forehead. His eyes were slightly light purple, and he wore a V-neck sleeveless t-shirt inside and a dark blue outfit that looked like a windbreaker outside. After the change, Qin Ren seemed to remember something, and the quicksand surged again, forming a huge inverted pyramid pendant on his chest. After the transformation, Qin Ren looked at the two stunned groups of people and took out a golden staff. My name is Autumn. Qin Ren swallowed back the nicknames that were about to come out of his mouth, such as Game King, Card King, Beard King, Hairspray King and so on. A flash of golden light passed by, and the people with bronze black cross and red copper black cross all showed surprised expressions. Autumn? Looking at their surprised expressions, Qin Ren also remembered something. Autumn was originally the supreme god and sun god in the ancient Egyptian mythology Heliopolis system, with a status similar to that of the creator god. After the later belief of Ra appeared, the status of the supreme god and sun god was gradually replaced, and merged with Ra into different godhoods of one god, regarded as the sun at dusk. In the morning, he was called Khepri, at noon he was called Ra, and at dusk he was called Autumn. Chapter 261 Too Many Elements Warning. It is not known whether Autumn has become the god of disobedience. If Autumn has become the god of disobedience, will he be beaten if he claims to be Autumn? When the Qin people carefully thought about this meaningless question, the leaders of the two teams, the bronze black cross and the red copper black cross, seemed a little impatient. They did not feel offended by the memory that the Qin people had imprinted in their minds with the Millennium Tin Staff. This person can change his appearance, and this is his true appearance. The reason for their impatience was the thing in the Qin people's hand, that thing that looked like a ram's skull, and the Qin people had long realized that their target was the thing in their hands. Regardless of other things, first knock down this group of people, then capture one of the two people, and use the Millennium Tin Staff or the Millennium Key to interrogate the information. However, compared to this, it feels that when pretending to fight, it is quite effective to bring various unknown spells. Give it a try. The next second, he threw the ram's head in his hand upwards, and then waved his right hand. Listen. The dead who knocked on the gate of Hades, I will open the gate of Hades for you. The warriors sleeping underground, wake up in the silent call, and use the bones of Seth to forge armor and weapons for you, and fight for me. With the action of clenching his fists, hundreds and thousands of palms stretched out from under the ground. One by one, the armored yellow sand soldiers stood up from the sand and surrounded the two groups of no more than 40 people. Then, he leaned back and made a sitting motion. The moment he sat down, the quicksand surged and formed a pharaoh's throne. Qin's body tilted slightly, his right elbow resting on the armrest of the throne, supporting his head, looking at the ram's head held in his left hand. Who allowed you to come to my territory, steal property from my land? As he spoke, a huge palm stretched out from under the ground and lifted the pharaoh's throne into the sky. The two groups of people with bronze black cross and red copper black cross did not question my territory, nor did they have the time to question it. What they need to worry about is their own lives. The thousands of Huangsha soldiers wearing armor and holding weapons around them terrified them. Then, the Qin people looked at the two groups of troops that were shrinking their formations below. Make a decision, change from thieves to robbers, choose to break through, and then be killed by my soldiers, or choose honor, do it with my soldiers. Of course, you can choose to try to break through, and after failure, choose to duel with honor, and then be killed by me. As he said, the Qin people's 1,000-year-old tin staff emitted an illusory golden light, sweeping across the people present. arousing their fighting spirit and hatred. He didn't want this group of people to surrender. In an instant, the people who were swept by the golden light of the 1,000-year-old tin staff looked at the Qin people with more hatred. It was as if the Qin people were their father's murderer. Looking at the Qin people lifted into the sky by the giant hand, and the densely packed yellow sand soldiers around them, the two opponents, Ogier Bronsanpoknikr, made the same choice. Under the interference of the Millennium Tin Staff, the judgment of this group of people was wrong. In their understanding, the Qin people wanted to kill them. In their words, no matter what choice they made, they would be killed. Black Beast, gnaw the flesh of the warriors until my enemies are defeated. The young man with long black hair chanted a spell to bless the summoned Black Beast. In an instant, it was visible to the naked eye that the bodies of the Black Beasts became stronger. The bronze black cross people behind him also chanted spells one after another, using various means to attack the surrounding yellow sand soldiers. The red copper black cross people on the other side also chanted spells. However, the leader of this group of copper black cross members, the young man with short silver white hair, Ogier, did not choose to attack the yellow sand soldiers like the others, but, fly, Hermes's boots. As the spell was chanted, a strong wind lingered on the legs of the silver-haired young man, faintly forming two pairs of small wings. Hermes, the god of travelers and thieves in Greek mythology, has wings on his feet, so he can walk like flying, and became the messenger of Zeus and the gods on Mount Olympus, delivering messages for the gods and completing various tasks assigned to him by Zeus. After chanting this spell, the silver-haired young man kicked his right leg on the ground, grasped the red spear, and attacked the Qin people. This person is the core. As long as we kill this person, we can make those soldiers disappear. Even though the 1,000-year-old tin staff had imprinted the will to fight and engraved hatred in his mind was still clear about the battle situation. Holding the scarlet spear tightly in his right hand, the silver-haired young man stared at the Qin sitting on the throne, and threw the spear with force. The scarlet cross wedge, tearing the dragon scales and digging out the internal organs. Martyred knight, I ask, grant me the medal of bravery. The spear returned from the lion posture and turned into a steel lion again, roaring and stretching out its claws towards the Qin. Is this all the strength? I want to see what level my current strength is in this world. This is totally useless. Looking at the lion flying towards him, Qin's eyes showed a trace of helplessness. Meanwhile, the members of the Red Copper Black Cross, surrounded by a group of yellow sand soldiers, looked at the invincible lion and the motionless Qin people, and felt a little relieved. To deal with summoned creatures, we must first start with the summoner. The power of Mr. Ogier's dragon-slaying spear is praised by the Commander-in-Chief. No one can defeat Mr. Ogier except the Commander-in-Chief and the eldest lady. However, at this moment, a giant yellow sand soldier holding a huge shield, 3 or 4 meters tall, suddenly appeared in front of the silver-white lion. Although the Red Copper Black Cross did not expect this, they were not worried at all. The Crimson Wedge plus the Steel Lion's spell can even kill dragons. However, when the yellow sand soldier holding the huge shield collided with the Steel Lion, they did not see the Steel Lion tearing the huge shield apart, but saw the Steel Lion being blocked by the huge shield, and then being pierced through the head by the yellow sand soldier's spear in his right hand and stabbed into the ground. How is this possible? The people of the Red Copper Black Cross and Ogier all looked incredulous. When the lion that was pierced into the ground by the spear turned into spear fragments, Qin's voice sounded again, forget it. If this is the only power, I am not interested. As the voice fell, the people present saw all the yellow sand soldiers around them disintegrate, and then the ground shook, accompanied by a terrifying scream. A huge mouth that was 100 meters wide appeared under everyone's body. Boom! The huge mouth closed, and a huge creature that looked like a whale or a shark jumped out of the desert, and then fell, sinking into the sand like a sea monster. Looking at the empty sand surface, Qin touched his chin. What should this move be called? Devouring Braxu? Devouring Rixai? No, I almost forgot. I have to leave a survivor. He snapped his right fingers, and a black shadow spewed out from under the sand surface and rolled to the ground. Looking at the ram's head in his hand, Qin took out the 1,000-year-old tin staff. If I'm not mistaken, It should be Amon. Chapter 262 The Power of RMB. Chapter 5 It's really uncomfortable that I can't modify the title. Amon does not refer to Wuxi Amon, nor does it refer to Amon, the Marquis of Flame among the 72 demons of Solomon, but the god of ancient Egypt, Amon. The birth time of the god Amon was about the 14th century BC, originally just a local god in the city of Thebes. With the victory of the pharaoh who created Amon, the image of the god Amon also expanded from Thebes to all of Egypt. At a certain period, he became the supreme god and merged with the image of Ra, called Amon-Ra, and this god has a close relationship with Zeus in Greek mythology. In the 8th century BC, the Greek mythology with various structures highly similar to Egyptian mythology germinated and originated, and then the mythology system began to develop independently. In the 7th century BC, after King Set used Greek mercenaries to expel the Assyrians, Greece's influence in Egypt expanded dramatically. Soon after, Egypt was conquered and ruled by the Persian Empire. It was not until a few hundred years later that Alexander the Great conquered Persia and Egypt. Why is it said to be, by the way? Because he was regarded as a liberator by the Egyptians when he occupied this land with almost no resistance from the Persians. In ancient times, kings from all over the world liked to play the trick of divine right, just like the emperors of China liked to say that there were various visions when they were born, and they were called son of heaven. The Egyptian pharaohs would also say that they were the descendants of the sun god. Alexander called himself the son of Amon, the sun god, to Egypt, and the son of Zeus to Greece. Greek civilization did not replace the traditional civilization of Egypt, but adopted a fusion approach. After Alexander's death, the Ptolemaic dynasty, which was split from Egypt, supported Egypt's long-standing traditions to ensure the loyalty of the people. They built Egyptian-style temples, maintained traditional religious rituals, and portrayed themselves as pharaohs. Many traditions of the two civilizations were integrated, and the gods of Greece and Egypt were integrated into multiple divinities. The images of Zeus and Amon were integrated in the Ptolemaic dynasty. The rulers propagated to the Egyptian people that Zeus was Amon and Amon was Zeus. At that time, Amon was the supreme god in Egyptian mythology, and Zeus was the supreme god in Greek mythology. The ram's head is the symbol of Amon. Qin Ren looked at the ram's head in his hand, recalling the history of Egyptian mythology that he knew. The bronze black cross and the red copper black cross are two magic societies in Italy. The relationship between the two societies is antagonistic. As a part of Greece, it is not surprising that they came here to find items related to Zeus. But how should this thing be used? Qin Ren held the ram's head in his hand, feeling a little distressed. He couldn't think of a solution for the time being. He was also ready to put it down temporarily, put the ram's head in the yellow sand space for safekeeping, and go to other places in Egypt to find a few wee gods to kill and improve his strength. However, the moment he put the ram's head into the yellow sand space, the whole ram's head flew towards the sky and turned into a small scorching sun. Violent thunder shot out from this small scorching sun. Moreover, an angry voice came out of it. Evil God. Damn evil God. Fierce thunder shot out from the scorching sun to all directions, toward the ruined city-state, the Qin people's body, and the demon god pillar and sun wheel pillar outside the city-state. The change of the ram-headed Qin people was also a shock, but he also laughed. Judging from its current performance, it would not be able to beat him in the outside world, not to mention that it was in this yellow sand world where everything was as Qin people wanted. 32 in Purgatory, who appeared from the demon god pillar and the sun wheel pillar because of being hit by thunder, immediately launched a counterattack after getting Qin people's approval. 32's enchanting figure twisted and instantly turned into a 100-meter-long three-headed giant snake, biting out. Purgatory's golden body shook, and a 100-meter-long golden dragon flew into the sky. Two false gods dared to face the supreme god King Zeus. The scorching sun burst into shining thunder and flew towards 32 in Purgatory. If we are false gods, then you are just a fragment, 32 sneered, and the huge snake head shook slightly, avoiding a ray of lightning. The lightning fell on the sand dunes, blasting a huge sand pit, and the gravel splashed 100 meters high. The snake head in the middle of 32 suddenly turned into a lion with a human head, Zeus, then answer me a question. How many offspring do you have? The moment she asked the question, a gray light enveloped the scorching sun who claimed to be Zeus. The Sphinx's riddle cannot be freed without the correct answer. The body was enveloped, causing the scorching sun to roar, and thunder burst out from his body. However, the fierce thunder shot on the gray light that the riddle turned into, making the gray light unstable for a while, and it was about to burst. 32's power is weaker than the other party. And Qin Ren also saw this situation. So, do you want to spend 10,000 yellow sand gold coins and 10 F-level certificates to upgrade the Devil's Holy Grail? Yes/no. Yes. Looking at 32 who was in a disadvantage, Qin Ren smiled in his heart. RMB players, please understand. The next moment, accompanied by a bright sunlight flash, flew into the demon pillar where 32 lived, and the dark demon's holy grail inside the yellow sand holy grail. The scorching sun who called himself Zeus, although he saw that the light of the puzzle could be solved by answering correctly, the problem was that he couldn't do it at all. He was just a fragment that fell from the body of the Greek god Zeus when he tried to seize the throne of the Egyptian god Ammon and was counterattacked by Ammon. He is Ammon, but not Ammon. He is Zeus, but not Zeus. To be precise, he is Ammon Zeus, not Ammon nor Zeus. Zeus was lustful by nature. Not only did he have sex with many women and gave birth to children, but he also did not let go of some teenagers. Zeus himself did not know how many children he had, let alone him. Moreover, there was a language trap in this sentence. Who knew if the children who had died were considered children, and if the descendants of the children were considered children? In this case, he had no way to count them. But it didn't matter. Stupid false god, your power cannot compete with the supreme god king. Seeing that the attack was effective against the puzzle light, the violent thunder shot out again, and in an instant, it could tear the precarious puzzle light into pieces. However, at this moment, the puzzle light suddenly became a lot thicker, and the violent thunder hit the puzzle light, cutting off a small half of it, but it could not be completely destroyed for a while. 32 also knew what was going on with the sudden increase in strength. The snake-faced and human-faced man both smiled and chuckled at Ammon Zeus, who was trapped in the light of the puzzle. You're dead now. P.S. No one reminded me that I hadn't updated the chapter. I only found out that I hadn't updated it when I opened the backend. Chapter 263 The Ram of Thebes. Ammon Zeus, bound by the light of puzzled, roared, and violent thunder was constantly stimulated. But at this moment, it seemed that something was broken, and the hot flames burst out from the scorching sun, and gathered with the rumbling thunder, tearing a hole in the puzzle light that had become much stronger. I should thank you, evil god. Because of you, my power has become stronger. Qin Ren, who saw this scene, couldn't help but feel speechless. Breaking through in the battle. What kind of story are you? However, although he said so, Qin Ren was not worried, but let 32 fight Ammon Zeus alone with confidence. This Ammon Zeus can also be immune to a certain degree of fire and solar attribute damage, at least according to the current situation. With the current power of purgatory, it is impossible to cause harm to Ammon Zeus. According to the level of its own power, the comprehensive strength level of this Ammon Zeus is around E. Weaker than Qin Ren, but stronger than purgatory and 32. Qin Ren did not personally take action, and he also had the idea of training 32. As for why? Because, since he was promoted to D level, he could feel that the pillar of the demon god and the pillar of the sun wheel played an important role in the yellow sand world. Although this does not need to be perceived, you can see it by looking, but the results obtained by observation are not the same as the actual results of perception. The stronger the pillar of the demon god and the pillar of the sun wheel become, the greater the benefit to the yellow sand space. As his bloodline level increases, his connection with the yellow sand space becomes stronger and stronger, which is why he can use various powers. The source of his power is this yellow sand space, this boundless world full of yellow sand. At this time, the battle between 32 and Ammon Zeus continued. It's too early to be happy, idiot. The snakehead on the left of 32 suddenly twisted and turned into a charming female body. The pink light dissipated and spread over the entire snake body. The next moment, The huge snake tail tore through the air and collided with the blazing flames and violent thunder released by Amon Zeus. Lightning and lightning tore the snake's tail apart, revealing the flesh and blood inside. The energy-state flesh and blood composed of the dark and evil power of the demon god was revealed. With the evil black and enchanting pink, the huge snake's tail was constantly torn and destroyed by the light and lightning, and it also hit the scorching sun. With a dull sound, a ram's skull was knocked out by the snake's tail in the dazzling golden flame. On the skull, golden flames and thunder lingered. Under the heavy blow of the snake's tail, a slight crack appeared on it. It's really hard. Seeing this situation, Qin Ren couldn't help but sigh. With the heavy blow just now, even if Qin Ren tried to block it, he would be broken. It's really awesome to upgrade on the spot, but it's useless. A layer of psychedelic pink light was wrapped around the ram's head. Asmodeus's whip, the power of the demon queen Asmodeus, charm. As the ram head fell, the scorching flames continued to burn the psychedelic pink light, and the violent thunder was constantly biting it. But the psychedelic pink light had not been completely destroyed, and Amon Zeus did not actually make any resistance. The snake head in the middle of the three snakes transformed into the Sphinx, and a layer of gray light flashed in his eyes again. The puzzle of the devil. How many partners do your wife and lover have? The light of the puzzle suddenly flew out and bound the body of Amon Zeus. The psychedelic pink light and the gray puzzle light worked together to suppress Amon Zeus's resistance. Qin Ren was extremely speechless. This puzzle is really green, and 32's mouth is really poisonous. It is well known that Zeus likes to enter others and sleep with other people's wives, but he also has a lot of green hats on his head. Even Zeus himself can't count how many partners his wife and lover have. Amon Zeus, the fake, naturally doesn't know, and even if he knows, he can't say it. If the answer cannot be revealed, then the only way to solve it is by force. Damn false god. Amon Zeus, who has been provoked by various things since entering the yellow sand world, has no idea how many times he has cursed. As the curse sounded, hot flames and thunder continued to shoot out from the inside of the ram's head, tearing the double cage. However, he had no time. 32's pursuit had arrived. The outer skin was torn apart by the flames and thunder, revealing the contents, the dark and evil power of the demon god, which fell from the sky in the form of a snake's tail and hit the body of Amon Zeus again. Crack! The terrifying force caused another crack on the ram's head. However, after this blow, the body of Amon Zeus, the ram's head, was not smashed down, but was rolled up by 32's snake tail. As for her actions, Amon Zeus, who constantly stimulated the flames and thunder to break the light of enchantment and puzzle, laughed. Foolish false god, who gave you the courage to face the supreme god king? This is an opportunity to defeat this false god. After killing this false god, he can also devour the power of this false god, recover himself, even become stronger, regardless of everything. Amon Zeus, who had already understood the danger of the situation and that it was his opportunity, shot out thunder and flames with all his strength. The terrifying flames and lightning intertwined in the air and hit 32's body. However, Qin Ren, Purgatory, and 32 couldn't help laughing. Sphinx's Strangler. When suppressing and binding attacks, the power increases by 500%. In an instant, Amon Zeus understood the situation. No, you can't come. Before his voice completely disappeared, his whole body was crushed by 32's flesh and blood. Snake tail condensed by the power of the demon god. The ram's head turned into countless fragments and scattered everywhere. Each fragment was wrapped in azure lightning and golden blazing flames. All of these fragments fell into the endless sand dunes. Under the sand, at this time, Qin Ren also had a strange feeling. The power of Amon Zeus after his death was swallowed up by himself. The next moment, he saw that in the endless desert, pillars were lifted up from under the sand. To be precise, it was the base of the pillar. There were 2 bases in total. And, on the side of the sun pillar, a blazing flame flew to the sun pillar. Then, it was sucked into the sun pillar. The sun pillar, which originally looked a little rough and broken, was instantly repaired in some damaged and worn places. Although it was still not completely repaired, it was obviously much better. And Qin Ren also noticed that one of the information in Purgatory had changed. False pillar middle. Sun pillar. remnant pillar sun pillar, and, there is one more skill, ram of Thebes, and 32 there is no change at all, worker. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264 Hello Renuked. However, 32 was not unhappy about this at all, because she had already made a good harvest. The reward given to her by her father greatly improved her ability. After taking a look at the two pedestals that emerged from the sand dunes, she returned to the pillar of the demon god to recuperate. Purgatory also realized her changes, and after thanking the Qin people for the reward, he returned to the pillar of the Sunday. The Qin people turned their attention to the bases of the two pillars. What are these two pillars? Indistinctly, it can be seen that they form a circle with the pillar of the sun and the pillar of the demon god, and the circular formation that protects the central sun disk from the source. The reason for the change is that the yellow sand space absorbed the power of Amon Zeus. What is Amon Zeus? It is certain that it is not the supreme god in Amon or Zeus in two different myths. It is estimated that it is just an offspring. Zeus went to Amon and gave birth to Amon Zeus. What? Amon is a male god, and Zeus is also a male god? No, no, no. Greek mythology is completely a very strong R-18 movie. Zeus married his close relatives and had sex with a bunch of his sisters, aunts, and gave birth to a bunch of children. He also had countless sex dates in the human world, often changing into various animals, plants, and non-living things, and coaxing and deceiving women to have sex with him. This is probably the earliest human-animal book. He also had sex with many men. And there are even more destructive things. Although I don't know where this unofficial history is, Zeus has turned into a woman and has been fucked by men or gods. The list of gods, goddesses, men, women who have had sex with Zeus can be listed in a long list, and there are countless famous and unknown ones. At present, this Amon Zeus, no matter how the Qin people look at him, he doesn't look like Amon or Zeus himself. But he does exist. Is it a unique magic change and god killer? Every work has magic changes, which is not surprising. God killer, a work with mythology as the theme, is not surprising to change the god system. Forget it. Don't think about these. Speaking of Zeus's divine authority alone, it is the universe, all things, gods, sky, thunder, and power. Amon's divine authority only includes the main god and the sun. The power displayed by Amon Zeus just now is only the sun's flame and thunder, which can barely be related to the sky. If the two pedestals correspond to the 9 pillars in Egyptian mythology, the flame is the sun, and the sun column just absorbed some of the power, which also proves this point. Thunder corresponds to Egyptian mythology. It seems that there is no god who controls thunder and lightning, but there are gods related to thunder and lightning in mythology. Set stood in front of the sun boat to defend the remains of Ra at night, and also held thunder and lightning to warn the world. He burned the earth with heavenly fire and produced red land. He is also the master of red land, but Set's main divine authority is the god of war, desert, storm and foreign countries, and does not involve thunder and lightning. If we talk about thunder and lightning, it should be Nut, the god of the sky, right? Zeus's divine authority also includes the sky, and the divine authority of all things also fits Nut. In Egyptian mythology, Nut is a female deity who covers her body with stars. Ra, the sun god, enters her mouth every night after sunset and is reborn from her lower body the next morning. She also swallows and regenerates the stars in this way. The goddess who covers the earth with her limbs to form the sky, and Jeb, who lies flat to form the earth, and the various mountains are Jeb's that thing. The content of the myth is not suitable for children, but it is indeed said. The driving skills of the Egyptian gods are still more stable than those of Greek mythology. Nut is known as the master of all things. After Nut married Jeb, male, the god of the earth, they often quarreled, and this quarrel is all kinds of weather, including thunder. But their quarrel also prospered all living things. Jeb is also among the 9 pillars of gods. Could it be that the 2 pedestals are one of Jeb's earth pillars and the other is Nut's sky pillar? Although the 9 pillars of God do not really have pillars, the Qin people can probably guess it from the naming of the sun pillar and the demon pillar. After struggling for a while, the Qin people gave up thinking about it. However, he also got a piece of information. That is, killing the gods can make the yellow sand space grow, and can make those pillars grow. I just don't know if they must be brought back to the yellow sand space to be slaughtered. While thinking, the Qin people directly regarded those gods as cattle and sheep. More than 700 kilometers south of Cairo, the capital of Egypt, on the right bank of the middle reaches of the Nile River, the ancient country has gone with the passage of thousands of years, and most of the magnificent palaces and temples have been buried and unknown. But from the remaining temple ruins, the mausoleums of the emperors and empresses, and the tombs of the nobles, we can still imagine the magnificent style of the heyday of the end of the year. The Qin people, acting in the posture of King Autumn of Hairspray, stopped at the edge of these magnificent ruins. Those who saw him and tried to question his identity were brainwashed by Qin Ren with a 1,000-year-old tin stick when they approached him, and were dismissed casually. I wonder what Egyptian gods I can find here? Qin Ren came to the ruins of the mausoleum from the ruins of the temple building, looking at these huge mausoleums and muttered to himself, Egypt has little rain, the air is dry, and the ground is not humid. The mausoleums are all made of earth, which is similar to the cave dwellings in the lowest plateau in China. After thousands of years, they still have not collapsed. It is also similar to the Shurima buildings that emerged in the yellow sand world. As he walked, the quicksand surged and condensed on Qin Ren's body, turning his form from the posture of a non-mainstream hairspray youth into a desert emperor with an eagle's head and a human body. Shurima, your emperor is back. Shurima in the League of Legends is based on ancient Egypt, and it looks like it, so there is naturally nothing to say about this. After a sigh, the tour of the desert emperor also ended here. The eagle-headed human figure faded away, and the Qin man's appearance changed back to that of the bearded King Autumn. The Qin man stopped in front of the ruins of a temple. The temple was not very tall, and because it was dilapidated, it did not look spectacular. There was a broken obelisk in front of the door. The obelisk was originally more than 20 meters high, but only a broken base column less than half a meter was left, which looked a bit miserable. At this moment, accompanied by the sound of surging water, a voice sounded, "Is this evil feeling the Lord of Power, or Apep?" Who came to Patsuk's, accompanied by an old voice. A humanoid crocodile with a golden ring on its ear appeared in front of the Qin man. Looking at his appearance, the Qin man smiled. "Hello, Renukten." "Rekten." The old crocodile's face showed a trace of confusion. "Whose name is that?" Chapter 265. Can you give me a few livers? I'm a little short of. I am not Renukten. The old white crocodile, like an old man about to be buried, responded to him in a low voice. "Are you the messenger of the Lord of Strength, or a worshipper of Apep?" Only they can create evil gods. The pair of eyes that seemed to have experienced vicissitudes of life stared at Qin Ren. "You have the power of several gods. Only the Lord of Strength and Apep can do this." The gods, or the 9 pillars of the gods, refer to the 9 pillars of gods. Qin Ren thought about it. Great of Strength, Lord of Strength is the most common nickname of Set. In a pyramid text, it is explained that the power of the king is the power of Set. Apep, also known as Apophis, is a god in ancient Egyptian mythology. He is considered to be the embodiment of destruction, chaos, and darkness. He is also the twin brother and mortal enemy of the sun god Ra. He hopes that the world will fall into permanent darkness. Generally, his image is a snake. It is the leader of the 7th kingdom that rules the path that the sun boat must pass every day. Its purpose is to make the whole world fall into permanent darkness and replace Ra. Although it is not one of the 9 pillars, it occupies a high position in Egyptian mythology. Just like 32 in Purgatory, the sun disk pillar of Purgatory represents the sun god Ra, which is correct, and the demon pillar of 32, does it represent Apep? However, let's put these aside for now. The Qin people looked at the old white crocodile in front of them and recalled its myth. Sebek is the god of river flooding in Egyptian mythology, also known as Patsukos. and its soul is incarnated as a sacred crocodile to supervise all water affairs in the world. Sebek was worshipped by the locals in the lake near the huge temple of Crocodile City. Later, the worshippers put bracelets on its front legs to make it more sacred and inviolable. In the Greek and Roman Empire era, this Egyptian water god attracted the locals even more strongly. People often put their lunch, including a cookie, a piece of barbecue, and a small pot of honey. The monks personally stuffed it into the crocodile's mouth at the riverside, and then the crocodile dived into the other side of the lake. But as the centuries passed, no one worshipped Sebek anymore. Qin Ren's eyes passed over Sebek's two crocodile claw-like arms, and there were no bracelets on them. Qin Ren knew why. Because the winners are the kings and the losers are the bandits. In the struggle between Set and Horus, Set was the loser, so Set was an evil god. As for Sebek, because Sebek was the sole incarnation of the great god Sabak of Fayum, and Sabak was reviled by the world for helping the evil god Set, to this day, the water god Sebek is still insulted by people in some provinces. Qin Ren had not been to Egypt in person, and did not know whether to this day was true. At least, Sebek was indeed hated by the Egyptians because of his predecessor Sabak. Set and Apep were both evil gods, but what about the relationship between Set and Apep? Set was Ra's guard, standing on the sun boat to guard Set, holding lightning in his hand, releasing flames to fight Apep who tried to devour the sun boat and devour Ra. What was the meaning of Sebek's question? If he answered Set or Apep, would the other party take different actions? Qin Ren could feel that his silent body contained a powerful force, at least not inferior to the huge power of Amon Zeus. Yes, according to his own answer, Sebek might attack. But it doesn't matter, neither Set nor Apep. Qin Ren looked at him. Your level is too low. Qin Ren said this, at least he didn't think there was anything wrong. Although it was only vague and there was no direct evidence, Qin Ren also sensed from some minor details and the connection with the Yellow Sand world after his bloodline level was upgraded to D that some force was interfering with the direction of the Yellow Sand world. This world of god slayers did not seem to be the original goal of the Yellow Sand world. His root seemed to be the result of interference from a powerful existence with power far beyond his imagination. He even had another idea. There must be a reason and a pusher for his own travel and inexplicable connection with the Yellow Sand world. Assuming the strength, it is at least stronger than the entire Yellow Sand world. Qin Ren didn't know who the other party was. The only thing he knew was that they were not enemies. Therefore, there was no problem with his words. Your level is too low. As for how capable this old crocodile is, Qin Ren was not afraid, and even a little eager to try. As for Qin Ren's words, Sebek did not have any intense reaction. The old white crocodile just nodded, and the pale crocodile claws opened and closed slightly. It is true, an outsider in the sky. Sebek's answer surprised Qin Ren. However, before Qin Ren asked, Sebek turned into a pool of water and disappeared on the spot, leaving only a voice. Amsha is here. What, Amsha? The next moment, a gorgeous human-shaped coffin rose from the ground to his south and opened. A black-skinned man dressed in a way that was out of tune with modern times and seemed to be quite contemporary walked out, holding a jar in his arms. The chin opened and closed, and the ornament that resembled a goatee on the chin trembled. Evil god pretending to be the father god, you will die here. He held the jar in his right hand, raised his left hand, and opened his palm. I am in charge of your liver, Amzet, the son of Horus, the guardian of the liver of the dead, the god of funerals. A huge light green illusory palm grabbed the Qin man. I'm sorry, it's better for me to be in charge of my liver. The Qin man waved his right hand, and a high-speed rotating vortex flew out of his hand, and instantly condensed into a terrifying sand roll, hitting the huge illusory palm. Sure enough, you are sent by Set. A light green light flashed in Amzet's eyes, and his eyes swept across a sphinx statue next to him. As the guardian of the kingship, in the name of the father god, the light green light flashed on the sphinx statue. Boom boom, roar. With a rumbling sound, the sphinx statue stood up and roared, like the roar of a lion and the roar of a human. A bunch of huge stone wings grew on its back. The moment it stood up, the stone wings flapped vigorously, rolling up a dark storm. The terrifying black wind swept past, and the weeds and small creatures on the ground died instantly. Under the gaze of the Qin people and Amshet, the plague wind collided with the sandstorm, accompanied by the black and yellow interlaced. The storms both dissipated. P.S. Revisiting the adventures of Jackie Chan, I am actually thinking about whether to have an Adventures of Jackie Chan or something. Chapter 266, Devourer Amit. I have a sphinx here too. Qin Ren smiled and waved his hand. Countless quicksands surged up and formed huge sphinxes. Sphinx Legion? I like it. Quicksand shifts. Qin Ren snapped his fingers, and dozens of sphinxes rushed towards the sphinx resurrected by Amzet. With a loud bang, the body of the sphinx was suddenly crushed. However, at this time, Amzet's voice sounded again. In the name of the guardian of the kingship, in the name of the Father God. In an instant, Qin Ren felt that a force penetrated into the bodies of the sphinxes, and they were losing control. Sure enough, you were sent by Set. Amzet, who firmly believed that Qin Ren was a subordinate of Set, looked at the sphinxes made by Qin Ren with quicksand. Evil God, you will die here. Pay the price for your stupidity. Amzet waved his right hand, and the sphinxes turned around and rushed towards Qin Ren. Mistake. But Qin rubbed his wrist, then raised his right hand, and a silver blade-shaped metal plate appeared on his right hand. Since you think I have a connection with Set, then I will do it. No need to struggle anymore. Evil God. Amzet's expression did not change at all. The power of the Father God, even Set cannot resist it, and Set's men are even less likely to do so. Solar and Akantna? With a confident smile on his lips, Qin waved his left hand vigorously, and the card condensed by the quicksand was slapped on the blade like silver plate. The corpse under the obelisk, with the body of yellow sand, is given a mission: destruction, power, war, annihilation. Offer the Sphinx as a sacrifice, with the storm as the soul, with gold and iron as the bones, with sand and stone as the flesh and blood, the immortal body. Return from the underground. Along with the impromptu spell, Qin's right hand clenched a group of sphinxes. Boom! Among the group of sphinxes created by the Qin people, 3 of them were instantly torn into pieces by the surging magic power, turning into a terrifying storm. Countless gravels were lifted up and swirled, and a huge arm stretched out from under the ground. The blue gravels like sapphires formed a huge arm and pressed on the ground. The sharp and muscle-like lines on it gave people a magnificent sense of power. Obelisk's giant god soldier. As the Qin people's indifferent and calm voice sounded, the ground cracked, and a terrifying giant tore the earth, overturned the temple, and drilled out from the ground. Its body was composed of dark blue gravels that were constantly swirling, and a violent storm surged inside the giant's body. What is this? Set? Amshet stared at the giant that tore the earth with his eyes wide open, muttering to himself, "No, it's not Set." His originally calm demeanor became a little solemn, but he still showed no fear. Set failed. No matter how many times, Set will still fail. How can you? Amshet's face even showed a hint of sarcasm. It's not that he looked down on him, but Set had challenged the status of the Father God several times, but failed every time. The evil god in front of him was not as good as Set himself, and he didn't even have any connection with this land. In this land, without the blessing of faith, he would definitely lose. The bones of sin decay and crumble, the hearts of sinners turn into waxed stone, the bodies dissolve in it, and I am abandoned in the dust of death, the devourer who devours my heart and bones in the molten lake. Use my coffin as a door and come to the world. Amzet held the pottery jar tightly with his left hand, and slapped his human-shaped coffin with his right hand. The next moment, a scorching flame like molten lava emerged from the coffin, and a creature with a crocodile head, a lion's upper body and a hippopotamus's lower body came out of it. Compared with the nearly 100-meter-tall, wind-gathered giant god soldier, this strange creature seemed a little small, but seeing him, Qin Ren couldn't help but frown. The devourer, the bone-eater Amit, lives in the fire lake of the Egyptian underworld. Anubis will throw the hearts of evil people to it, and those whose hearts are swallowed by Amit will never rest in peace. In Egyptian mythology, Amit is not a god, nor is he worshipped. To be precise, for the Egyptians, it is a divine punishment, representing truth, fairness and order, and is a mythical beast against evil. Although Amset is the god of funerals, Qin Ren really didn't expect that he could summon Amit. If it's an evil special attack. Qin Ren shook his head, looking very regretful. Then, the almighty Sun and Sky Guardian, unseal the ball of light and surround the desert with light. Transform from the posture of the ball of light, show anger to the enemy with flames, and bring victory. Call the name of God. Ra's winged dragon. But this is not a turn-based game. When Qin Ren recited the spell, Amset waved his right hand. Your time has come. Confess to Lord Anubis in the underworld. Amit, kill that evil god. Crack, as if with lightning, Amit took the initiative to attack, and the powerful flame distorted the space, forming rippling waves, which swallowed up the Qin people. How stupid! Seeing the Qin people being swallowed by Amit's flames, Amset sneered. But at this moment, sounds came from the air, the ground, and from various directions. There were sounds one after another around. The sound emerged from everywhere, and Amit also took a few steps back, shrank his body, seemed to see something, and his face was horrified. Amset looked ahead, looking at the place covered by flames, and couldn't help but be shocked. What is this? Question mark in front of him. Waves of dark golden flame surged, forming a huge dark golden sphere. Cracks appeared on the dark golden sphere, and bright light shot out from the cracks. Flames spread out from the cracks, forming scorching clouds of smoke. Amset raised his head. In the golden and red clouds formed by the gathering of flames and golden light, the huge dark golden sphere was slowly opening. Then, a sound that sounded like the roar of an animal, the cry of a bird, and the voice of a human came out from the dark golden sphere. Buzz buzz buzz, the whole sky seemed to be shaking, not knowing whether it was because of the sound coming from the dark golden sphere or because the existence in the dark golden sphere appeared. The sunlight shining from the sky also changed, gathering towards the dark golden sphere. Other locations began to slowly darken, but the location of the dark golden sphere became brighter. Chapter 267 Ra's winged dragon vs Horus. In the sky, the dark golden giant ball had already opened. A dark golden creature that looked like a god and the blazing sun appeared in the center of the smoke screen condensed by flames and light. The body seemed to be cast from gold, full of metallic feeling, and the head that looked like a giant dragon and an eagle was slightly lowered, and the dazzling golden eyes were staring at Amset and Bone-Eater Amit. But no matter what, the sacredness and power that looked like the sun was reflected in his heart. The next second, he saw the huge golden wings slowly rising, and the surging flames surged in the sky. The power of Ra? How is it possible? Are you the incarnation of Ra? Amset looked at the huge creature that appeared in the sky and couldn't help but be shocked. He could clearly sense the sacred and scorching sun power contained in the body of the huge creature. No, such an evil god can't possibly have the power granted by Ra. Amset's calm face finally showed some fluctuations. I understand. Amset stared at the huge bird dragon in the sky, and a wave of anger appeared on his face. It must be the evil god Set who stole the power of Ra. As Ra's former guard, he had the opportunity to do this. The Qin people, who had transformed into the winged dragon of the sun god, were speechless when they heard his words. Logically, shouldn't we think that he is the incarnation of Ra and worship him? This is what is written in the routine. Roar! The crocodile-headed Amit looked at the Qin people, kept retreating, then turned around, rushed into Amset's coffin, and retreated back to the Egyptian underworld. The fire disappeared from the human-shaped coffin. Foolish thing, that's just an evil god. Amset shouted angrily, Father God is coming. Father God is the legitimate successor of God Ra, the favored one of the sun. While shouting loudly, he raised his hands and clasped them together to Qin Ren. The evil god will also become weak if he loses his liver. Light green illusory palms emerged from both sides and grabbed Qin Ren's body. But your power is too weak. Qin Ren opened his mouth and a stream of light and flames gushed out, instantly wiping out Amset's power. Before Horus arrives, it would be better to eliminate his helpers. Qin Ren raised his head and spit out a stream of light and flames. Hi! Sacred beast roars and bird calls continued to emerge from the light and flames. A large amount of light and flames rose up, forming a huge phoenix, which crashed into Amset. With the high-speed buzzing of the hot light and flames that cut through the space, the sun-like phoenix suddenly spread its wings, driving a huge wave of light and flames to crash into Amset. The space was constantly distorted by the fiery flames, and even the giant god soldiers made by the Qin people themselves with storms and gravel were distorted and destroyed by the fiery flames. Even though there was a reason why the Qin people no longer distracted themselves to control the giant god soldiers and reduce the supply of power, the giant god soldiers were not so easy to destroy. After transforming into the winged dragon of Ra, his monoflow attack, that is, the basic attack, turned into a spit of flames. And because of the authority of the sun god, the attacks of light, fire, and sacred attributes also increased by 500%. Seeing the terrifying light and flame phoenix, Mshef's expression was horrified and fast. If that terrifying power hit him, he would be seriously injured even if he didn't die. Without any hesitation, he turned directly into a green light and flew into his coffin. The light and flame phoenix hit the coffin. The 100-meter range around the coffin turned into hot scorched earth, and the place closest to the coffin was even burned into magma. It's useless, stupid evil god. The dead are protected by the father Anufthis. The voice did not come from Amset, but from another Egyptian god, a god with an eagle head and a human body floating in the sky. Horus, the evil god who stole the power of Ra, said, "Is this your trump card?" Horus' father is Osiris, the god of the underworld among the 9 pillars, and Nephthys is also one of the 9 pillars. Moreover, she is Set's wife and Anubis' mother. However, she does not stand on Set's side. As the patron saint of the dead, she often appears behind Osiris, the god of the underworld. With her sister Isis, the goddess of life, she helped Isis raise Horus, and saved Horus from danger together with the scorpion goddess Sereket. But there is a problem. The Qin man who transformed into a pterosaur showed a mocking smile on his face. Osiris, the god of the underworld, wasn't he killed by the god's lair and took away his power? As soon as he finished speaking, a blazing flame gathered in his mouth and gushed towards Horus. The blazing flames and the dazzling light made Horus's face change slightly. What god's lair? They are just a group of robbers. The father god was not killed either. He just returned to the underworld to sleep. When the father god returns, those robbers will also bow down. Now, you have to bow down to our power. Horus' eyes instantly turned golden red, and the double-sided crown on his head glowed with golden light. The flail and hook in his hands were swung at the same time. I was appointed by Ra, the true ruler of Egypt. I am the successor of Ra. The terrifying power emanated from his body, and the distant and profound power of the kingship blocked the surging flames. That was the power of the kingship drawn from the entire land and the entire country, which even caused a certain degree of suppression to the Qin people. This was the power from the entire country of Egypt, the power from the entire country. If the local gods could still fight with the help of people's beliefs, but if they were identified as evil gods, they would be suppressed instead. In an instant, the Qin people felt that they were entangled by a powerful force. With the advantage of the terrain, local gods can have a great advantage in many battles. But the Qin people at this moment were different. Although Ra's pterosaur came from another world, in Egypt in that world, the status of the pterosaur was the same as that of Ra in this world. In this gathering of the power of the kingship of the entire Egypt, there was a problem with this power of the same nature as Ra. The belief in kingship came from the Egyptian people, but in the Egyptian belief, Ra was the supreme sun god. The Qin people transformed into pterosaurs and were defined as evil gods, which conflicted with their beliefs. The Qin people, who were ready to use all their strength to destroy the shackles of the king's faith, suddenly felt their bodies loosen. The surging flames instantly tore through the cage that Horus had forged with the king's faith and burst out. Within a few kilometers, the terrifying golden flames. Chapter 268, Power of the King, Horus of the Twin Horizons. Qin Ren was also stunned by this situation, but he could also feel that the power of the kingship belief was far less than expected to suppress him. Whether it was his own expectation or the other party's expectation, Qin Ren stretched out his claws and grabbed a group of remnants of the kingship belief around him, and was very speechless. If he only had this level of power now, he didn't need to transform into a pterosaur. He could easily tear it apart with the power of F level. If he used the light of the pterosaur, then the power he could exert would be about 35 Compared with when he first appeared in this world, the power displayed by Horus was slightly weaker. If he used some skills, he could defeat Horus. It was about 30-70. He had 30 and Horus had 70. But if he used better tricks, he might be able to win. And now, his winning rate was 40-60. Yo tilde maybe you should say, Shurima, my emperor is back. How is it possible? In Horus's unbelievable eyes, the blazing light formed a thick light column and hit Horus. In an emergency, Horus quickly waved the flail and hook in his hand, and two golden energy weapons of the same type as his weapons gathered together to block the beam of light. However, the terrifying flames still instantly engulfed the opponent. After the blazing flames, Horus had slight traces of burning on his body, which made him look a little embarrassed, but a layer of armor formed by the strong power of the king's faith wrapped around his body, so that he did not suffer much injury. However, the effect of the attack and restraint just now using the king's faith was an unparalleled blow to the opponent's confidence. Impossible, not the power stolen from Ra, but the complete power, the second Ra? How is it possible? How is this possible? How can there be two sun gods? Horus was stunned, and shouted to the Qin people a little madly, how is this possible? Who are you? The other party was not the sun god of other myths, although there were some differences. It was clearly Ra. Feeling Horus's almost materialized crazy emotions, the Qin people could not help but be speechless. Is his mentality broken like this? Guess. The Qin's comfortable and playful laughter made Horus even crazier. But before he made a move, the Qin's huge wings of metal mixed with membranes and feathers flapped up and down. Eye of the sun, desert power, wind. The air around him, which was expanding and twisting under the Qin's fiery flames, seemed to have received some instructions and rolled up. At the same time, the Qin raised his head, opened his dark golden beak, and a terrifying column of flames gushed out, blending with the storm and bombarding in the direction of Horus. The power of the king, the pharaoh sleeping in the Valley of the Kings. Horus raised his right hand with a hook to resist, and raised his left hand with a flail, pointing to the Valley of the Kings in the east. Every pharaoh claimed that he was the son of the sun god and the incarnation of the sun, and Horus' image was a collection of countless pharaohs. In an instant, layers of golden figures appeared on his body, and his whole body was shining with dazzling golden light. When the blazing storm of light and flames bombarded his body, it was as if it was wiped out, and more than half of the light and flames dissipated and disappeared. Horus, with the power of the kingship, gathered the power of all the pharaohs of ancient Egypt in one body, and gathered the image of son of the sun god in one body. In an instant, the Qin people saw that a narrow strip of light appeared on Horus' body, like the sun rising on the horizon. Horus of the double horizon, Ra-Haruakati. His image has changed from the original bird-headed human body to a narrow strip of light, and a shadowy golden figure is entangled in the narrow strip of light. Evil god, no matter how you deceive the kingship, it's useless. Lehorawector shouted, and the hook and flail he was holding floated in front of him. I am the incarnation of the sun. Yes, yes, you are the incarnation of the sun. You are the choice of the sun. The complex golden lines on the sun disk of the main body lit up again, and a golden red flashed across the eyes of the Qin man in the pterosaur posture. Although most of the flames were wiped out and dissipated, the violent hurricane was not wiped out. The high-speed surging airflow, like countless sharp blades, tore at the human-shaped light and shadow superimposed on Lehorawector's body. Eye of the sun, desert power, wind. Eye of the sun, scorching punishment. When in the pterosaur posture, the addition of fire, light, and sacred abilities suddenly increased the power of the scorching punishment. Seeing the light in the Qin people's eyes, Lehorawect immediately gathered the sunlight and formed a brilliant light shield on his body, ready to resist and erase or even reverse the power of the evil god to counterattack. However, he was wrong. The target of the attack was not Lehorawect himself, but his flail and hook. There are three types of pharaoh's scepters: the Heka staff representing ruler, the Vo staff representing unity, and the flail staff held by the deceased pharaoh and used together with the Heka staff. No, my artifact, Lehorawect roared, and the blazing flames extended to both sides. The flail and hook also retreated at the same time, trying to retreat behind the light shield, but it was too late. In an instant, on the flail and hook, a series of hot flames ignited, and the surging hot flames instantly tore the flail and hook apart, leaving traces of collapse on them. "You can withstand my flames, but your divine weapon can't." Qin Ren's high-pitched voice, like the cry of a bird or the roar of an animal, spread out, and the red in his eyes surged again. "No!" Lei Heruok roared madly, but, crack, crack, boom. The terrifying explosion suddenly exploded into circles of yellow and red intertwined scorching ripples. The flail and the hook were destroyed by the scorching punishment right in front of Lei Heruok's eyes, and the figures lingering around Lei Heruok also became unstable in an instant. "Without the amplification of the flail and the hook, can you still force the souls of the pharaohs to gather together?" Qin Ren roared loudly, and the breath of the god Ra from another world instantly made the souls of these pharaohs have the idea of worship, and resisted the idea of confronting Qin Ren. If a few pharaohs resisted, Horus could still suppress them with his royal power, but if all the pharaohs resisted at the same time, Horus might be able to suppress them with the help of the flail and hook. However, at this time, the destruction of the flail and hook would be fatal to him. No, thanks to the book friends Renner and Wujin. Book friend 201804231721529291 inches for the 100 starting coins, and Kayani Usho for the 500 starting coins. Chapter 269 6%. As the culprit, Qin Ren naturally added some strength. The dark golden head with bird and dragon colors lifted up, and the huge metal wings with membrane and feathers flapped, and the thick dragon tail also swung. In an instant, his whole body was covered with violent flames. Eye of the sun, desert power, wind. A hurricane rolled up and lingered with the flames around Qin Ren. The next moment, Qin Ren's wings suddenly spread out, and a violent flaming phoenix rode the hurricane and crashed into Ra Heruok, who was unstable and gradually withdrew from the form of Horus of the double horizon. When the flail and hook were destroyed, the anger in Horus' eyes grew rapidly, and now, there was a bit more panic. The other party's identity was too strange. Not only was the effect of the power of the kingship worrying, but even the pharaoh's soul who came with the pardon order resisted attacking this person. Could he really be the god Ra? No, it's impossible. Unlike himself and his father Osiris, who were unwilling to obey the myth and stay in the Egyptian myth, Ra obeyed the myth and did not come to the human world like himself and his father Osiris. While the disordered thoughts echoed in his mind, Horus also knew that the result of continuing to fight against the pharaoh's soul would only be serious injury or even annihilation together with the pharaoh's soul. "You deserve to die, you deserve to die, evil god," Horus roared, no longer suppressing the souls of the pharaohs, but immediately defended. Of course, he did not let this group of traitors go. The power of the king gathered, drawing power from the souls of the pharaohs and blocking himself. Boom! A large amount of fog exploded, forming a huge phantom of a giant beast behind him. 4 thick arms, like a lion, the head on the head is like an eagle, and the skin of the whole body is yellow like quicksand. From the moment it appeared, a large amount of gray-black fog continued to emerge from its body, and the whole body looked evil and hazy. The huge limbs were raised high, and it roared fiercely. A large amount of fog dispersed, forming a huge gray fog monster. Sphinx, a griffin with an eagle's head and a lion's body. Maybe Griffin will ask you for the copyright. Qin Ren's eyes flashed. Griffins also exist in Greek mythology. However, it is obvious that this griffin is not a good thing. The black fog escaping from its body is full of evil meanings. Plague, decay, like the roar of a lion, like the cry of an eagle. The madness in the Sphinx's eyes became even crazier. Snap, snap, the Sphinx's body suddenly rose and transformed into a giant creature that was 30 meters tall, close to Qin Ren's body. Although it looks intimidating, I can still tell who is strong and who is weak. Qin Ren smiled, and the blazing light behind him condensed. Maybe I should find you an opponent of the same race. Boom! The flame surged, and the phoenix's body twisted and deformed, gathering into a huge creature. A giant beast with a sheep's head and a lion's body suddenly flew out and collided violently with a sphinx with an eagle's head and a lion's body. The scorching flames tore the black sphinx apart, and the aftermath of black and white intertwined. The hurricane hit the shield that Horus had created with the royal faith. With a bang, the phoenix exploded into flames, turning the area of several kilometers into scorched earth. The royal shield created by extracting the pharaoh's soul was only a thin layer left. However, after losing Horus's suppression, the pharaoh's souls had disappeared from the original place and returned to the Valley of the Kings. But just now, the Valley of the Kings was also covered and destroyed by flames. But it doesn't matter, if they hide underground in time, they will not be killed. What a great god! At this time, he naturally had no mercy on the ancient relics. Qin Ren, in the shape of a pterosaur, stared at Horus and sneered, "They are all dying. They are already dead." Horus's eagle face was full of anger, and his single eye was filled with hatred. "Those traitors will definitely pay the price, evil god, and you too. No matter what method you use to disguise yourself as the god Ra, you are just a false god. Evil god, I will take revenge. Evil god," Horus shouted, pointing at Qin Ren and roaring, and then a burst of golden light burst out from his body. With the golden light shining like the scorching sun, Horus' body also disappeared. Qin Ren did not feel any dissatisfaction when he saw him running away. Or rather, it was fortunate that he did not insist and left directly, otherwise he would be miserable. Qin Ren's eyes swept across the Monobar. 6%. If Horus didn't run, he would have to run. It is true that the transformation into a pterosaur is very powerful, but it also consumes a lot of energy. His current mana limit cannot support such a strong power for too long, but it doesn't matter. As long as he accumulates some more certificates, he can upgrade to sea level. At sea level, even if he doesn't transform into a pterosaur, he can still fight Horus head-on. At sea level, the 5-fold increase in the transformation into a pterosaur is not comparable to what it is now. Of course, he would be happy to be able to kill Horus now and get a D-level certificate, but it doesn't matter if he can't get it. Getting an E-level certificate is not bad. Qin Ren turned his sight downward. In the scorched earth burned by the flames, a golden boulder stood in a certain position. When Qin Ren turned his sight, the golden boulder suddenly dissolved and turned into a crawling dragon. In its mouth, it held a middle-aged man with a goatee, and under its feet was a jar. The huge metal wings mixed with membranes and feathers flapped vigorously, and the surging flames wrapped around the entire body of the pterosaur. The next moment, the giant winged dragon turned into a flaming phoenix, falling from the sky to the ground. Boom! The flames surged, and Qin Ren's body turned into a human form. His hair was flaming like gold, red, and black. His golden bangs were lightning-shaped, and his slightly light purple eyes were filled with sharp and confident eyes. When he walked in front of the dragon, he smiled at the dragon. "Well done, Purgatory. It's my honor, my lord." The golden dragon threw Mshet in front of Qin Ren and opened his mouth to say, "Ah, evil god." The father god will after being thrown to the ground. Mshet tried to say something, but Qin Ren just raised his hand, and the quicksand gathered into a claw, pressing him to the ground. "If you are talking about Horus, he runs pretty fast." After saying that, a red light flashed in Qin Ren's eyes, eye of the sun scorching punishment. The blazing flames burned on Mshet's body. "No, you can't do this. I am. It doesn't matter who you are." Qin Ren clenched his right hand, and the quicksand gathered, squeezing Mshet hard. Snap. Chapter 270 Liver Funeral. As Mset's body was crushed, the pottery jar under Purgatory's feet also broke, and Qin Ren also felt a force pouring into the yellow sand world through his incarnation and into his body. Just like when he killed Amon Zeus, a skill suddenly appeared in Qin Ren's skill list: Liver Funeral, Quick Detoxification, Self-Resistance to Liver Attacks. Directly attack the target's liver, making it unable to remove toxins, and decay and destroy, or take it away and place it in a container. Moreover, on the endless sand dunes covered with quicksand, another giant base rose from under the gravel. Looking at this scene, Qin Ren frowned slightly. The previous Amon Zeus, the current Mset. These pillar bases should represent the 9 pillars of the 9 pillars god. Qin Ren recalled all the things about the pillars. In other words, it is necessary to kill various Egyptian gods with powers corresponding to the 9 pillars god. Maybe as long as they are gods, it will be fine. With their powers, you can create a complete 9 pillars. Mset is the son of Horus, the grandson of Osiris, the god of funerals, and in charge of protecting the liver of the dead. However, the pillars that were shaped by absorbing his power, are they Osiris pillars or Nephthys pillars? Osiris, the god of the underworld and agriculture, is one of the 9 pillars, and Nephthys, the protector of houses and the dead, is also one of the 9 pillars. The powers of these 2 gods both involve the dead. However, the opposite of Osiris is the underworld. Nephthys is Osiris's subordinate god, and his status is probably the difference between the emperor of Fengdu and the 10 hells. Feeling the gradually restored mana, the Qin people also understood what they should do in this world. Ra, in charge of the sun. Shu, in charge of wind, air, and order. Tefnut, in charge of rain, moisture, and disorder. Jub, in charge of the earth. Nut, in charge of the sky. Set, in charge of power, war, desert, storm, and foreign countries. Nephthys, as the protector of the gods, is in charge of houses and the dead. Osiris, is in charge of the underworld, resurrection, plants, agriculture, and abundance. Isis, is in charge of life, magic, marriage, and fertility. Not only do I have to defeat various powerful enemies and collect evidence, but I also have to set my main target on the gods with powers related to the 9 pillars. It is relatively simple to start from Egypt, but I don't know how many disobedient gods there are in Egypt. In the setting of God Slayer, only the disobedient gods who are unwilling to obey the myth will appear in the human world. Other gods will not appear in the human world. It seems to be in a place called the Netherworld. It seems not to be. Qin Ren has seen the God Slayer animation and the original novel, but it was a long time ago, and he is not very clear about some of the detailed settings. In Egypt, only Horus, Amzet, and Sebek have been seen so far. I don't know if there is Isis. Of course, it is not for Isis's fertility and marriage powers, but for life and magic powers. After obtaining the magic power, maybe it can improve the magic power and mana limit. However, when talking about Isis, the Qin people also remembered one thing, that is Horus. Isis is the biological sister and wife of Osiris, that is, the mother of Horus, but Horus is a filial son. In the myth, when Set killed Osiris, Horus was still young, and it was Isis who took care of him all the time. As Horus grew up day by day, Isis's longing for Osiris and hatred for Set continued to deepen. Finally, on the day when Horus came of age, she told Horus everything, hoping that he would be able to revenge Set when he became powerful in the future. After Isis told Horus about Set and Osiris, Horus was extremely angry and immediately wanted to kill Set, but he had just come of age and had no strength to do so, so Isis naturally stopped him. However, this filial son directly chopped off his mother's head. If Isis was not the god of life, and had not received the assistance of Thoth, the god of wisdom, Isis would have really died. He is worthy of the name of a filial son. Horus was originally a heartless guy. Even when his son Mzet was captured and even killed, he did not look back and ran away. Qin Ren just mocked a few words in his heart, and then continued to think about the relationship between the 9 pillars and the Yellow Sand World. What is the relationship between the Yellow Sand World and the 9 pillars? This is certain. In addition, Qin Ren's own bloodline skill, desert power, can control wind and sand. It is probably Set's desert power and storm power, or it may be Shu's power. Scorching punishment is the power of the sun god Ra. Disorderly rain should be the power of Tefnut. It seems that there is some pattern. However, why can the whole pillar be directly created when using Purgatory and 32 before? Is there anything special? 32 was formed by the Harmony Holy Grail being combined with various fragments of desires obtained in the P5 world. After that, he upgraded the Harmony Holy Grail in the Yellow Sand World and created the Pillar of the Demon God. Purgatory was formed by the fusion of human souls and fragments of cognitive monsters. After he exchanged the Ascension remnants, he combined them in the Yellow Sand World and became the Sun Wheel Pillar. The common points are props and self-awareness. In other words, after exchanging the corresponding props from the exchange column, a certain existence with self is combined with the props, and it is made into something similar to a spirit, so that the corresponding pillars can be made in the Yellow Sand World. So, self-awareness. Qin Ren's eyes swept around the city-state under the sun disk, and the bases of the pillars that were divided into circular trajectories. On the desert, there were countless light blue balls of light, which were human souls. He could use the soul to create a group of things, and then take all the props one by one to the yellow sand world to try and make other pillars. This is also a way. While the Qin people were standing there, slowly recovering their mana in a contemplative way, Purgatory beside him suddenly turned his head, his golden eyes burst into alertness, and a golden flame gushed out of his mouth, sweeping to the position next to him. The golden flame burned a straight area of dozens of meters into scorched earth, but the scorched earth was extinguished the next moment. The surging water rushed out from the nearby Nile River, soaking the hot sand and soil. With the white water mist evaporating, an old human-shaped white crocodile condensed and formed with the surging water. You actually killed Damset. Outsider. The water god Sebek looked at the broken pottery jar at Purgatory's feet and whispered, "If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 271. Do you want to truly live? That's right. Qin Ren stared at the old white crocodile and answered, "But you don't seem to have any emotions." "I'm old." Sebek's wrinkles full of age squirmed as the crocodile's mouth opened and closed. "Even if I die now, I will only feel a little bit of emotion." Then, it raised its head, looked at Qin Ren, and suddenly smiled. "Outsider, you also want to kill me like you killed Damset, right?" "I'm considering it." Qin Ren lifted his lightning-shaped bangs and answered very honestly, "Like those godslayers. Use this power to become the king who rules over mankind." Sebek's face still had no anger or fear, and he still had that kind of relieved smile on his face. Too troublesome. Not interested. Qin Ren sat back, and the right claw of Purgatory immediately dissolved and condensed, turning into a golden pharaoh's throne. "So," Sebek looked at the Qin man in front of him. "Next, what do you want to do? Take power from me and then kill Horus?" "What, you want to protect Horus?" The Qin man crossed his hands and looked at the old white crocodile in front of him. Sebek and Anubis are both sons of Set and Nephthys, and, like Nephthys, neither of them participated in Set's plan to murder Osiris. Nephthys did not stand on Set's side after Set murdered Osiris. The same is true for Anubis and Sebek. Anubis even gave up the position of Hades to Osiris. However, Sebek is actually the sole incarnation of the great god of Fayum, Sabak, the evil god who helped Set and died in the war between Set and Osiris. Contradiction? No, it is not. It can be understood as Set's dead subordinates reincarnated as his son. The water god Sebek was born when Isis betrayed Set and stood on the side of Horus. Of course, the various versions of the legend may be slightly different in time. But in short, Horus, a filial son who can chop off his own mother's head, is naturally not a good person. Sebek is said to have 4 times the divinity because it has 4 elements: the fire of Ra, the air of Su, the earth of Jeb and the water of Osiris. Even if Sebek has not helped Set, even in the Book of the Dead, it protects the newly born Horus and helps Isis and Nephthys to eliminate Set. But in the end, it was also labeled as an evil god because it is the sole incarnation of the great god Sabak of Fayum. All kinds of temples have been destroyed, leaving only a few small temples. Usually only sailors who hope to avoid shipwrecks during the voyage will come to worship or offer them in private shrines for sailors to worship. He has no good feelings for his own father Set, but even more so for Horus, and even hates him. Of course not. If you want to kill Horus, I can even lend you my scepter. Sebek's crocodile mouth opened and closed. It's just that I want to verify what the Lord of Power said. Hearing this, Qin Ren became interested. He felt that half of his mana had been restored, and he held his head with his right hand. What did he say? He said, "It's ridiculous. Whether it's Nun, Chaos, or Brahma, the myths of any country are just pre-written operas. Even the whole world is the same." Sebek stared at Qin Ren, and his face became old and turbid due to lack of faith. "Outsider, tell me, What does the Lord of Power mean? Qin Ren was stunned when he heard this. None. There are two creator gods in Egyptian mythology, Atum, who gave all gods power, and the original water. Atum was the creator god in early mythology, and later the Egyptians created Nun, the original water. For example, in China's original mythology, Nuwa was the creator god, and during the Three Kingdoms period, Panu came as the creator god. Chaos, or chaos, is the first thing that appeared between heaven and earth in Greek mythology, and has the same status as Nun, the primordial water in Egypt. Brahma is the creator god in ancient Indian mythology. Set's words can be interpreted from many angles. A superficial one is that the myths of this world are false. A little further, this world of gods' layers is false. Going further, Qin Ren narrowed his eyes slightly, but no matter what, at least it can be shown that Set knows that this world is fake. He did not answer directly, but just smiled. Set is right, this world is not real. Qin Ren was not surprised by such a plot. After all, as a modern man, he has seen a lot of novels, comics, and film and television works that break the fourth wall. However, at this moment, an idea suddenly popped up in his mind. Sebek, do you want to understand the meaning of life? Do you want to truly live? Sebek was a little confused, but thoughtful, staring at Qin Ren, his eyes solemn. He didn't want to trick you into going to the Zongzu team to be a thug for a lieutenant colonel. He just wanted to get you in. Qin Ren was serious. He wanted to make Sebek his subordinate. To be precise, he wanted to use Sebek to experiment and see if he could merge with a certain prop to let the Yellow Sand world erect another pillar. This is the first reason. The second reason is that he wants to gather a Shurima legion in the Yellow Sand world. Snake woman, crocodile, dog head, and what could be more suitable than Sebek, the prototype of the crocodile? Sebek stared at Qin Ren, still not understanding what Qin Ren meant. I want you to see the real world. Qin Ren crossed his legs and smiled. I'll give you some time. After saying that, Qin Ren stood up, and Purgatory also took the initiative to lift Qin Ren and put him on his head. My lord, where are you going now? Let's go somewhere else and find some disobedient gods to replenish our physical strength. Qin Ren put his hands in his trouser pockets and looked down at Sebek from top to bottom. Maybe you can give me some advice. Hearing this, Sebek, who was still thinking about something, raised his head and looked at him. The hard and dense white scales covering his whole body gathered together, then fell off from the place near his head and condensed on Sebek's crocodile claws, forming a miniature crocodile that was less than the size of a palm. It can help you find the gods nearby. Your son? Qin Ren looked at the miniature white crocodile and said subconsciously. Hearing this, Sebek just raised his head, glanced at him, and threw the miniature white crocodile in his hand to Qin Ren. When he threw out the little white crocodile, his body turned into liquid and dissipated into the air. Chapter 272, Reactions from All Walks of Life. While the Qin people were embarking on a joyful hunting operation, on the other side, in Italy, in the base of the Copper and Black Cross, a man who looked nearly 40 years old, with a face as straight as a sculpture, full of intelligence and temperament, frowned as he listened to his subordinate's report. No news about Bronze? The lively commander of the Copper and Black Cross had a rare serious expression. Are you sure? Yes, Commander. The reporter lowered his head and answered seriously. Sir Ogier Bronze has not contacted our liaison department for 2 days. We have not been able to contact him through the internet or the phone. We thought that there was no signal in the area where Sir Ogier was. The reporter paused. Then we turned to use communication magic to contact. But we didn't find the target either. Are you saying that we can't find the target? Instead of the contact being cut off, Paul Bronte's expression became more serious. Yes, the reporter answered carefully without even breathing. Although the commander-in-chief had an eccentric personality, he did not forget that the man in front of him was the Supreme Knight of Italy, just like the Sword King Celibator Tony. He was a strong man with the titles of Supreme Knight and Red Devil. At this time, a girl who looked about 16 or 17 years old, wearing a red dress and with long golden hair, walked up to him. General, Ogier sent a message before, saying that he had found the sacred ram skull of Thebes, and had also encountered the people of the Bronze Black Cross. Will it be? No. Erica. General Paul shook his head. Although the relationship between us and the Bronze Black Cross is hostile, both sides have maintained restraint. The people of the Bronze Black Cross may steal our things, but they will never kill Bronze and others. He looked at his talented niece who inherited his title and had the name of Crimson Devil. 20 people. This is not a trivial matter for any magic society, and for us, it is enough for us to go to war with the Copper Black Cross and the Bronze Black Cross. They are not stupid enough to that extent. General Paul shook his head and turned his gaze to the reporter next to him. You go and contact Bronze and others in various ways, and determine where they were when you last contacted them. Yes. The reporter immediately stood up, turned and left the room. Watching the reporter leave, General Paul broke away from his serious image just now, and slapped his head with an exaggerated expression. Oh, it's better not to happen. Our relationship with the Bronze Black Cross is warming up recently. If something happens, we will be in big trouble, Uncle. Since there were no outsiders around, Erica no longer used formal titles. How should we deal with Ogier's affairs? Send a team to find and contact Ogier and investigate the situation. General Paul supported his right elbow with his left hand and stroked his chin with his right hand. I hope they didn't find 21 enchanting banshees. Hearing her uncle's nonsense, Erica's mouth twitched slightly. Are there succubi in the Middle East? Of course, enchanting banshees are not just in European myths. General Paul rubbed his wrist and grinned at Erica. The charming and deadly Pandora exists in the myths of every country. I met her before. Her hair was like wet golden wool, and each hair was like a thin golden thread placed in a glass. Although her body was not as white as ivory, it was quite healthy. When I saw her as a young boy, I was filled with amazement. I reached out and pulled her to my side. You don't know, she was like. Yes, yes, it sounds very attractive. Although she was only 16 years old, Erica would not have any reaction. Maybe her head would be more suitable as a trophy? No, I didn't cut off her head. I don't like that. General Paul shrugged his shoulders. I just cut off her tail and wings as trophies. The rest of her body was bought by the female wolf. The female wolf is the name of another magic association. I will take a team to find Ogier. Looking at him, Erica sighed helplessly. Be careful. Okay. On the other side, in Naples, Italy, the base of the Bronze Black Cross branch. Liliana Chronicle. Here, teacher. Baknikra and the 20 men he led have lost contact in the north of the ruins of Thebes in Egypt. You lead the search team there to look for news about them. According to observations, there have been reports that the god of disobedience has appeared nearby. I promise. As the eldest daughter of the Chronicle family, the girl with a silver ponytail straightened her body. Looking at her, the young leader of the Naples branch, Diana Milito, said softly, this matter is a little special. According to the information obtained from the Egyptian Official History Compilation Committee, the god of disobedience that appeared may be the supreme god Ra and the god of kingship Horus in ancient Egyptian mythology. You need to be more cautious. If you encounter danger, give priority to your own safety. Hearing this, Liliana was also slightly stunned. The scale of the supreme god becoming the god of disobedience made her a little stunned, but she still took a deep breath. I understand. This is for you. Diana took off a brooch-like pendant from her chest and handed it to her. It can allow you to teleport back to Italy immediately when you are in mortal danger, and you can also activate it actively. Liliana looked at the brooch in her hand, looked at the teacher in front of her, and nodded vigorously. In Japan, an old European man dressed in a black coat like a gentleman was sitting on his throne and suddenly opened his eyes. When he opened his eyes, the aura of intellectual wisdom dissipated, replaced by a ferocious and wild beast. Wow! Has the god of disobedience appeared in Egypt again? Great! The god of disobedience is too rare. The ritual to summon the god of disobedience was preempted by the Gaitoni, and the power was also taken away by him. The old gentleman narrowed his eyes slightly. In order to prepare the materials for the next summoning of the god of disobedience, he came to Japan to find the Miko who survived the last summoning ceremony 4 years ago. But now, should I put this matter aside for the time being and go to Egypt? However, the compatibility between the sun god Ra and the power he currently possesses is relatively low. Even the power of the sun god Ra is the one that he is restrained by, and it is not easy to deal with. Moreover, If he rushes over now, he may be able to arrive, but compared to Tony who is closer to him, the battle may be over when he arrives there. Regardless of so much, a supreme god is still very attractive to him. The green eyes of Marquis Vauban glowed with a hint of wildness. P.S. Sorry, the update is late, but there is no way. This chapter was just coded. Chapter 273, Lion Dog's Secret Trick, Hide and Seek, Liver Funeral, Ram of Thebes. These two skills have different meanings for Qin Ren. Why? Because these two skills are not acquired through the system. Holding the little white crocodile in his hand, Qin Ren stared at him for a while. This little thing made of Sebek's white scales is not a living thing, and it doesn't even move. Qin Ren can feel that it stores a power similar to the power that flowed into his body after he killed Amon Zeus and Umzet. To be precise, this thing is the crystallization of Sebek's power. When a god of the Egyptian pantheon appears nearby, it will react. However, it has no reaction now. In other words, there are no Egyptian gods nearby. But it is also true that there are few disobedient gods who would rebel against mythology. And in this world, disobedient gods are disasters for ordinary people and ordinary magicians, but for god-slayers or people who are equivalent to god-slayers, they are sweet potatoes. Killing a god can gain his power. This kind of bandit-like world rule, as a god, is basically a target for those god-slayers. Gods are chased like dogs. It can be said that if there is a work with the lowest status of gods, it is the god-slayers. Of course, only god-slayers can be chased like dogs. For ordinary people, for ordinary supernatural beings, the status of gods is still high. I don't know where Horus and his filial son went. He can't find the god of disobedience, and he has no choice. There are 6 god-slayers in the world, except for Lady Aisha who was born in India. The other god-slayers chase the god of disobedience everywhere, and Qin Ren can only compete with the god of disobedience Horus after he transforms into a pterosaur, not to mention the god-slayers who have gathered the power of several gods of disobedience. He needs to collect evidence as soon as possible and upgrade himself to sea level. At that time, he can at least compete with the god of disobedience, not to mention killing the god of disobedience. But it doesn't matter. What Qin Ren wants to do now is to find this supernatural organization in Egypt. Just like Italy and Europe have various magic organizations, Egypt also has them. The Qin people are looking for them. The Qin people's assets now are bounty, 672,689 yellow sand gold coins, G-level certificates, 1886, F-level certificates, 641, E-level certificates, 5, D-level certificates, 0. After all are converted, there are 6 G-level, 9 F-level, 7 E-level, and 8 D-level. Get 2 D-level certificates, or 20 E-level certificates, or 200 F-level certificates, 2,000 G-level certificates, and 330,000 gold coins, and you'll be done. The latter can be easily collected by waiting for a month, but it can be easily collected by brushing certificates. It's useless to attack civilians. Civilians are all G-level, and can only get gold coins. If you want to find a target, you have to find F-level or above, preferably E-level or above. After all, the minimum gold coins that an E-level can get is 10 times that of an F-level. Although Qin Ren can get tens of thousands of gold coins every day now, the more money the better, and the extra money can be used to refresh the exchange column. He felt that it was overflowing before, but now, he feels that it is not enough. Why? D upgrades to C, 100 W gold coins are needed, and C upgrades to B, 1000 W. It's okay to sit and wait for money, but the former has to wait for several months, and the latter has to wait for several years. As his level increases, the proportion of income becomes smaller, and in the end it can only be said that it is better than nothing. Now, Qin Ren will naturally not sit and wait for money when the vouchers have not been collected. So, how should he find the extraordinary organization in Egypt? It's very simple. First, make trouble and let the extraordinary organization in Egypt come out to find him. Because of his battle with Horus, there will definitely be people gathering near Thebes, whether they are extraordinary people in Egypt or in other regions. Second, build the yellow sand tower, Cover the surrounding area, find these unlucky people, and kill them with skills. The current yellow sand tower has a visual range of only 1 kilometer. To be honest, compared to Qin Ren's own attack range of 56,050 yards, it can be said to be pitifully small. But, do you want to spend 1,000 gold coins and 10 G level certificates to upgrade the skill Shurima's heritage? G? Yes/no. As the gold coins and certificates disappear, the G after the Shurima heritage skill changes to F. But Qin Ren did not stop there. Do you want to spend 10,000 gold coins and 10 F level certificates to upgrade the skill Shurima's heritage? F? Yes/no. Yes. 10,000 yellow sand gold coins disappear, and 10 F level certificates also disappear, and the Shurima heritage skill is upgraded to E. Attack range, 75,000 yards. Field of view, 109,500 yards. Real field of view, 100,000 yards. Both the field of view and the attack range are higher than his current ones. Now that the preliminary preparations are done, it's time to start making trouble. Qin Ren threw the small white crocodile in his hand onto purgatory, then raised his left hands, and a high-speed rotating vortex condensed in his hands. Then, he threw both hands at the same time. The high-speed rotating wind and sand vortex surged out, and instantly formed a huge sand tornado that was more than 10 meters wide and 100 meters high. The terrifying storm quickly moved out of the city in a straight line, accumulating wind and sand, leaving deep trenches on the ground. The dark clouds gathered, and the gathered water vapor formed lightning roars, and he himself followed the tornado and went to the wilderness. Although this is just a suburb, he didn't want to build a solar disk directly here. Everything can be seen clearly within a range of about 10 kilometers, which is not a good feeling. And if there is a god slayer or other powerful disobedient gods coming, he can hide. How to hide? Simple. The lion dog's ultimate move, hide and seek, is still quite useful. Skill, hunting rhythm, G. Gain 60% G of movement speed and true vision of a target within 1,600 yards of him for 20 seconds. Enter stealth camouflage state to hide your figure. Before the end time, you can quickly jump to an enemy. Leaping to the nearest enemy will cause 50% G of additional physical damage and reduce the target's armor by 24% G for 4 seconds. Targets within 1,600 yards can sense your presence. Attacking or casting most skills will end hunting rhythm. Although the perception range of the lion dog's ultimate move is a bit far, it is still feasible to use it with skills such as flash. In the middle reaches of the Nile River, next to the ruins of the ancient city of Thebes, the bottom diameter is more than 500 meters, and the diameter in the air reaches several thousand meters. 2 huge tornadoes are constantly rotating. The high-speed rotating airflow gathers quicksand, sucking everything on the surrounding ground into the tornado and rolling it into the sky. Everyone within dozens of kilometers nearby can see the 2 huge cyclones in the sky and the 2 thick tornadoes. Egypt's state religion is Islam. Although the main force is still Sunni Islam that follows the Malik school of jurisprudence, Islam prohibits magic and magic. The Islam in Egypt is just an ordinary religious organization without any power. Although there are organizations in various places that use magic, they are all ancient Egyptian magic or simply non-Egyptian forces. Is this magic? In the northern city of Cairo, a group of people walked out of the basement and came to the roof. Looking at the 2 thick tornadoes in the distance, their brows knitted together. It must be the power of the god of disobedience. We must stop their destruction. P.S. Although referring to reality, Egypt's state religion is Islam and the power should also be Islam, but I dare not write about Islam. After all, it is a sensitive topic. Chapter 274 Because you are weak, the raging sandstorm swept the clouds, forming a dark cloud layer that connected the sky and the earth. Qin Ren stood 10 kilometers in front of the sandstorm, looking at the huge tornado from afar. Now that the tornado has developed to this scale, he has stopped providing mana. He did not consume much power. After forming, the vortex basically maintains its operation with its own inertia. Any vortex can maintain its own inertia for a period of time after losing external kinetic energy supply. With the current scale of these 2 covering a few kilometers, as long as they do not continue to walk into the river, They can at least last more than 10 or 20 minutes. Moreover, the storm caused by the terrifying sandstorm is not just a huge funnel-shaped tornado. There is also a terrifying sandstorm. The sky-high sandstorm wall formed on the trajectory of the sandstorm, and the huge sandstorm wall several kilometers wide blocked the view. Qin Ren stood in the sandstorm wall. Now, it's time to find someone. Qin Ren raised his hands and clenched them hard. The inheritance of Shurima. The huge rocks suddenly collapsed, and the fine gravel formed by the collapse of the rocks and the dust in the sandstorm wall gathered towards the sky as the Qin people raised their hands. A huge inverted triangle condensed and floated in the sandstorm wall. On it, like a seal, complex and mysterious text patterns emerged one by one. After the huge base that was dozens of meters high condensed and formed, the gravel and dust gathered above it. A huge sun disk condensed and formed on the base. The scorching golden red lines also condensed again, and in the center of the sun disk, a symbol similar to an eye condensed. The moment the sun disk condensed and formed, the Qin people instantly felt the expansion of their vision, with the sun disk as the center, within a radius of 109,500 yards, that is, within a range of 90 kilometers, everything, no matter how big or small, was reflected in the Qin people's perception. There was a sense of vastness that everything was under control. The small animals and humans on the ground were crushed by the sandstorm, and under this broad perspective, they became extremely small, even not worth mentioning, indifferent. This feeling was not unfamiliar to Qin Ren. When he transformed into a pterosaur, he could feel this feeling every time he transformed, the feeling of looking down from a higher position. Shaking his head, Qin Ren clenched his right hand again, and the flying sand in the sandstorm wall surged and condensed. A giant like a mountain condensed and formed, wrapping the sun disk in it. Go, Obelix! The giant soldier condensed from the quicksand raised his fists and smashed the ground hard. Boom! With a loud noise, a piece of sand and stone several hundred meters wide was lifted by the giant soldier and thrown forward with force. This is definitely not a natural phenomenon. A group of people who set out from Cairo stood in the distance, looking at the huge sandstorm wall and the raging sandstorm in the distance, with solemn eyes. Could it be the god of disobedience? It's possible. The last time it was Marquis Vauban, the Wolf King, who came here and killed the god of the underworld Osiris. A few days ago, someone in Cairo observed the appearance of the god of kingship Horus, so we came to Cairo. And after we arrived in Cairo, news came from Thebes about the battle between the god of kingship Horus and the god of the sun Ra. Such news is not only received by us, but also by the 6 kings. An old man squinted his eyes, staring at the sandstorm in the distance. Maybe the Wolf King and the King of Swords or the Black Prince have arrived. The 3 of them are the closest to here. In the current situation, it is possible that one of them has fought with the god of kingship or Ra. Which king's power is this storm? I don't know. The old man shook his head. No matter which king comes, he will not care about ordinary people. A young man looked at the flying sand and clenched his fists. That group of demon kings. It's because we don't have the matching power here. The old man sighed deeply. If we also have a king here, just like the martial arts king, he will not allow other demon kings to enter the territory. As he said, the young man suddenly looked at the old man. If we can also kill a god. Hearing this, the old man just shook his head. Our magic has no effect on the disobedient gods. Only gods can defeat gods. The demon kings also killed the first god through the legendary weaknesses by using the items of gods, and then used the power they gained to kill other disobedient gods. Horus, the god of kingship, and the supreme god Ra, they don't have obvious weaknesses. Horus had an eye gouged out by the Lord of Strength. The young man gritted his teeth and took out a box. There was a metal ore in the shape of a finger bone in the box. This is the ore obtained from the iron mine in eastern Aswan. It is the bone of Set. In Egyptian legend, the dead Set's bones turned into underground mineral veins. The ore and metal underground are Set's bones, the so-called Set's bones. If we can use this to kill Horus. The young man took a deep breath and looked at the old man seriously. We in Egypt can also have our own pharaoh. The hope is too slim. The old man looked at the ore in his hand that contained deep power, but sighed deeply. After the appearance of the devil, Countless people have tried to do this, but they all failed. In the turbid eyes, there is a deep hope and fear. What are the consequences of failure? Horus, the god of kingship, may completely destroy their organization. I want to try. The young man held the box tightly and looked at the sandstorm. The old man wanted to say something, but at this moment, another person beside him suddenly shouted, "Elder, something is flying over." After giving the warning, the man immediately chanted a spell. "Emperor Ramses the Great of Kadesh, please grant us the protection under your king's flag." The elder also immediately raised the long staff made of dead wood. "Isis, the mother of all things, let the holy staff become a shield to protect us." Two huge barriers, one yellow and one green, suddenly emerged, blocking the dozen people behind. And the others who reacted immediately chanted a spell to deploy new shields or reinforce shields. The next moment the fourth shield barrier was deployed. A huge sandstone block hit the shield. Boom! The huge sandstone weighing dozens of tons directly crushed 3 shields, and the fourth shield could not hold up at all. Why? The young man looked at the huge rock block with unwillingness in his eyes. "No reason, because you are weak." Next to him, an illusory figure appeared. P.S. The speed of typing is getting slower and slower. Chapter 275, Horus's movement. The boulder thrown by the giant god crushed their barrier and killed them all. The boulder was not a simple boulder. Ordinary gravel should have fallen apart after being dug out by the giant god. This piece of gravel was actually controlled by the Qin people. After crushing this group of people, the Qin people did not use the time-space rupture to go back in time. Why? Because he felt that a strong enemy was approaching. If it was any other time, the Qin people would not mind using the time-space rupture to go back to before killing them. But not now. Moreover, his pity has been covered by the vastness brought by the erection of the sun disk. To be honest, killing this group of people is really the same as the feeling of an ordinary person stepping on a field of ants. No, to be precise, it is smaller. This group of people is too small in the perception range of the Qin people's thousands of square kilometers. When the Qin people opened the yellow sandbag, there were tens of thousands more gold coins, 8 more F-level certificates, and 15 more G-level certificates. It's still too little, but they seem to be holding something. With a clench of his right hand, the quicksand condensed into a giant hand, grabbing back all kinds of extraordinary items from the corpse. Several canes, 2 necklaces, a ring, a badge, and something like a finger bone. Qin Ren collected all these things into the yellow sand world. The canes, necklaces, rings and other things did not react at all. But the finger bone, the small finger bone broke and disintegrated the moment it entered the yellow sand world and was sucked into the sun disk. In the desert, a base rose again, but this base was smaller and more broken than the other bases. And Qin Ren's skill bar also had an additional skill, Finger of the Evil God, condensed sand and gravel, launched an attack, causing additional damage to the field of vision and eyes. Looking at this thing, Qin Ren was a little speechless. The Finger of the Evil God, Set's finger. This special attack on the eyes is undoubtedly the legend of Set digging out Horus' left eye. Then, he continued to wait for various extraordinary people to come. Egypt has a history of thousands of years. It is impossible that only those few people were produced just now, right? Those people were just enough to fill the gaps between our teeth. At this time, Purgatory, who had transformed into a human form beside him, asked aloud, "My lord, why don't we just destroy this area?" Hearing this, Qin Ren just glanced at it. Of course, he didn't say to Purgatory and 32, "I need yellow sand gold coins and certificates. I can become stronger if I kill people of such and such level." His explanation to Purgatory and 32 was, "The yellow sand world needs souls, and the stronger the soul, the better." "You'll know in a moment." Qin Ren said meaningful words, with his hands in his pockets, with a smile in his purple eyes. Of course, he didn't mean anything meaningful, he just wanted to save mana. After all, the God Slayer could appear at any time. If too much mana was consumed, it would be over if something went wrong. However, Purgatory and 32 could be allowed to cause trouble. Qin Ren waved his hand, and the charming snake girl 32 appeared in front of Purgatory. "You are free to move." The two nodded at the same time, and 32's body turned into an illusion and disappeared on the spot, while Purgatory bowed slightly, and flowing golden sand poured out from its back, condensed into golden dragon wings, and flew into the sky. On the other side, in the north of Cairo, above the ruins of the pharaoh's tomb, a man with golden eagle eyes squinted his eyes and looked into the distance. A man holding a calcite jar stood beside him, facing east and west. "Father God, should we go over?" Hobby and Kabshanif are not approaching. As he said that, he was suddenly stunned. The knot of prosperity has been killed. Hearing this, the eagle-eyed man's golden eyes became a little narrower. "Since we received the news that Father God was killed by the Godslayer, we came to the human world to prepare for the resurrection ceremony, and no one has discovered it." The eagle-eyed man was Horus. "If I can rule Egypt again, my power will become stronger. I didn't think it was necessary before, but now, there is no time to do it, and there is no chance. Amzet was also killed by that weird evil god, and those pharaohs refused to obey me." The man holding the jar stood aside and listened, his face calm. "Isis refused my request and was unwilling to come to the human world to revive the father with me. Anubis also refused to come to the human world. Those pharaohs dared to refuse me, but it's good this way. At least we don't need to feel guilty for bringing them to the war." Horus sneered, and his eagle eyes were filled with angry red light. "When fighting with that weird evil god, the souls of those pharaohs dared to refuse, which completely angered him, and the anger of God can only be washed away by death!" Horus looked at the pharaoh's tomb below and couldn't help but sneer. As the divine power surged, his robes blew up and fluttered. "The king sleeping in the mausoleum, obey my will and wake up from your slumber," Horus chanted loudly, and the surging divine power surged from his body. The divine power surged and condensed, like a raging sandstorm. The next moment, a group of blue figures rose from the pyramid mausoleum below and appeared in front of him. The guardian of the kingship, the soul in the posture of the pharaoh, after seeing Horus, subconsciously uttered words full of respect. But the next moment, what he saw made him a little puzzled. From the body of the guardian of the kingship, surging divine power surged, a large amount of brilliant golden power, dragging a long tail, flew out like a meteor shower, forming a series of golden chains, wrapping his body layer by layer. Then, the golden chains gathered more and more, like a dense cloth. The pharaoh was puzzled and a little uneasy. He didn't know what this person meant. "Die for me." Horus clenched the chain, and the terrifying suction flowed toward the pharaoh along the golden chain. "Why?" the pharaoh shouted in disbelief, not understanding why the guardian of the royal power, the god who symbolized the pharaoh, wanted to kill him. Subconsciously, he wanted to resist. However, the power of Horus was not something that a pharaoh like him could contend with. As the suction force passed from the golden chain into his body, the pharaoh felt his power gradually disappear. He could no longer resist. His face was angry, sad, and unbelievable. He lowered his head, closed his eyes, and prayed, "Supreme Amun-Ra, what on earth made the guardian of the royal power do such a thing?" However, before he finished praying, his consciousness had completely disappeared. His power was completely taken away by Horus. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.